I got the tractor beam out of commission, or this is going to be a real short trip. Okay, hit
it! Hey, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Man, it's been a while since I think any of us has been on it's been a minute. But since we've been on with Parminder, Rob, and Tony, it's been quite a long time. So like, it's great to have you guys on and just chat about whatever, right? We're just hanging out, just having a good time. So I appreciate you guys making time, because I know time is valuable.
It's great to be on.
Yeah, thank you. Everyone doing okay?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
No, the long pause from Rob was perfect. Yeah, no, it's. I'm hoping everyone's doing great. Jason, you doing all right?
Doing okay, yeah. Doing good.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Glad to be here. Glad to be able to talk a little shop. It's been a while, so yeah, it's nice.
It's been a minute. I was mentioning when Tony got on how like he's literally surrounded. I mean, he's got stuff. He's got stuff everywhere, and that's one thing. One of the main, at some point when we chat, we're going to talk about the collecting habits and how things have changed over time, and just since we last talked, what everyone's kind of up to. But is there anything, guys, like I know that, I mean, this isn't a group therapy, but like at least we can chat. Like, is there anything new that you guys have that you've gotten at all? Anybody? It's been a minute. I think I got the Regal Robot Tuscan is what I got a little not too long ago. But
what do you think of that, Matt?
Man, it's really good.
Yeah,
it's really good. Did you get it, Tony?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you get it?
It's surrounding me. It's surrounding me there.
Yeah. Tony, how did you get it? By the way, did you get someone else to
Yeah. We because we're in the UK, it's really difficult to get Regal Robot pieces over here, because obviously they only ship to a US address. So it's you've either got to use a forwarding company, and that can be really expensive,
right?
Or you just use a friend, which is what I'm doing. So
that's what you have to
it's
do.
It's the only way we can. Yeah, it's the only way we can do it. But that was the big piece that I got in this year. I love it. Absolutely love it.
It's killer, isn't it?
Yeah. It's when I saw photos of it outside of what Regal Robot had done, I was a bit nervous because it just looked like one color.
Oh, right.
And when you actually get it in hand, you see all the sort of detail on it and all the weathering.
Well, and you open the thing up and it smells like leather.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty ridiculous.
And the box is huge. I mean, fortunately, my wife was away, so that was a real scramble. I mean, it really was. It was massive. I mean, I've got to say, since because I got a Chewy from them years ago, and it turned up it was a bit rudimentary, the packaging.
Yeah, right.
It was a bit of a carrier bag and a box, which is fine. But this was bomb-proof. So
it's crazy. The upgraded boxes they use now are unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Great. The Chewy box just being like a regular Uline box. It was just like a card.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, how do you feel about it? You like it?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's killer, isn't it? I love too that like you actually have like an extra piece that you have to wrap around the neck, like it's like a longer piece that comes, so you can kind of make it fit how you want it to fit a little bit better. It's really nice.
So here's the thing with Regal Robot, right? Here's the thing with Regal Robot. Of all the companies that are out there, right? There's hits, there's misses, there's things where there's sometimes QC issues, whatever it may be. I don't think they've to date ever released anything that wasn't like absolute top shelf.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds biased. It really does. It comes across as biased, but it's true. It doesn't matter if you're buying a magnet or a $3,000 or $5,000 piece. It's like everything is just top tier. And I think kind of like with you guys, Rob, I think when you're getting something from people who genuinely love what they're working on and making, it's going to be a knockout of the park every time.
Well, And are you guys, any of you guys on the concept train
Mhm.
with?
Yeah,
Mhm.
all over
with-
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So Tony, are you then? Because did you get the original Rancor?
No,
Okay.
yeah, that I regret completely not jumping on really. But
Version, right? The bigger version.
yeah. I mean, that's why when Tom released the sort of the Jabba maquette,
Yep.
there was a delay in him releasing that and then the Max Rebo. So
Right.
when he released the Jabba, I thought, okay, he is going to, he's taken that from the archives. So we think he's going to. I thought then he was just going to dive straight in and then start producing the other maquettes. And I thought, well, is he going to do another Rancor? And I think he'd been asked before, and I think he'd sort of batted it off. And I wasn't sure he was actually going to do it. And then when he announced Max Rebo, I think everyone then thought, okay, he's gonna do the Rancor maquette, because that for me is ideal size for my room, and I actually do prefer. It's going to sound sacrilege, this, but I prefer the look of the maquette than the actual puppet.
Right.
It's just got a really like twisted sort of look to it, and the paint job on it looks incredible. I mean, we've seen. I think there's some reviewers already. I've already got the pieces in hand already, so that it does look really good. Well, it looks stunning. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and are you getting this Legacy Edition, Tony? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, you are.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, that's nice, dude. Because that's
I did have to think about it, because there was like a lot of Regal pieces. There's sticker shock when you first hear the price.
Yeah.
And then you just Tom does his
I know
pitch, and it's very difficult to resist these products because they're out of the archives.
I know.
And that probably sort of goes to
And Tony, don't you? I think I was talking to Jason about this. Like, talk about like a built-in, just a built-in like buyers like segment of buyers, right? Like you come out with all these concept pieces. Someone like you has jumped on all of them. Let's say, like you don't really have a choice at this point.
Once you're in, you're in.
You kind of have to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit nervous about the release schedule.
I'm hoping that he releases some of the prequel maquettes so I can pass on those.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
If he interleaves a few prequel maquettes in next year, then you think, okay, I'm up for that.
Absolutely. I think also with the Indiana Jones stuff, I think there's enough breathing room.
Yeah.
And I think he's learned by not releasing too many of the big pieces sort of simultaneously or straight after each other. So that, that year where I think you, Matt, you actually mentioned it, Matt, where you said, oh, I've spent this sort of, an obscene amount of money. I think it was the chess set, Salacious, and then the Rancor. I mean, those are three
ridiculous.
I mean, stunning pieces, but
they came out back to back, didn't they?
Yeah, they were back to back. So, but this is a line. I think this is really tapped into a lot of collectors. I think if you're into the original trilogy, these are archive pieces. They're small, and a lot of them connect back to the Kenner figures or the Palatoy figures. Everyone is released. I've got a figure of behind me.
That's cool.
And it's and the Tuscan bust was the third Star Wars figure I got as a kid.
Yeah.
So that was what pulled me in more than
that's cool.
So.
And Rob, you haven't gotten into the concept stuff, have you, at all with Regal?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's a lot.
Well, the Weak Way was quite appealing, and I may still grab it because I do like that. But the other stuff, not so much. Jabba's Palace is not my favorite thing. The Rancor,
I hear you.
Yeah, that's good. But
some of them,
Jabba's Palace and some of the creatures stuff, not really.
Some of them, I feel like some of them just don't. So this is my own opinion. I think you guys know this about me. I'm not a big fan of the concept side of Regal Robot, but I have no problems with them selling them, and I think they are made very well for that type of collector. It's a fantastic line of collectibles for a certain segment of people that collect that stuff. I just kind of feel like a lot of them look like Play-Doh, like you know what I mean. A lot of them look like
that's what I like about them.
Melted Play-Doh to me, and so I just can't get behind it. But there are some that look great, like this. The Rancor looks fantastic. Like the Rancor looks like the Rancor.
Again, I think Tony touched on it. The Max Rebo band when I was a kid with the figures. Didn't particularly interest me.
Right.
The Rancor did.
Yeah. It's so cool.
It's
the thing is, if you had this book when you were kind of, you know, in your early 20s in the 90s and you were influenced by this
for sure.
book,
I
mean,
I used to stare at that for hours
since the mid 90s. So seeing these things come to life is definitely
Simon was looking at that the other day.
It's a great book, really good book.
Well, and to be fair, like at some point it starts to look like Tony, where you're sitting in the archive, like you're sitting amongst.
Oh, I wish.
You're sitting amongst all these like amazing things, and I'm just saying, like, I think that is a really cool thing that Regal Robot is bringing to the collecting community, where they are kind of giving you the option of kind of having your collection appear a little bit like the Star Wars the Lucasfilm archives. Like, it's pretty nuts.
I remember very early on when we had Tom on back when, and I remember saying we said just that. We said that at the rate that they're going based on selection and choices, which is amazing, right? Because they're doing things that are completely outside the box. And that's the best part, right? It's delivering things that you otherwise could never dream of getting. So it's one of those things where it's like it's literally bringing archives into your home. And one thing I noticed the other day, now that Tom has the Regal Robot page up, like the Facebook fan page, what I thought was interesting is a lot of people were basically requesting, like, are you going to make a black base that you could purchase to go with the Jabba for continuity with the line? And technically, Jabba wasn't on a black base. He was sculpted as you see him. And I get it too. Like, it made sense because Tom was like, well, instead of contesting people and being like, it was done the right way, he's like, well, we kind of put some thought into that, but at the same time, it was our first one. We didn't know what direction we were going into, but technically, that's the way it was done. But I could see for continuity purposes, people wanting that. But I do hope that as best as they could, because I know some are, fragile and kind of difficult to make and construct. But I do hope that they continue with. I'd like to see like a couple of the other denizens and stuff like that. But I would like to see them continue going down that road for sure.
There's some really cool ones, like the Gamorrean Guard is very cool. Standing up one. That's
I like the Gamorrean.
Yeah. But what I've seen actually as well is a lot of people are now backtracking and trying to pick up the pieces that were sold out. So I've seen some people looking for Jabba, for example, and only last week there were still about 5 or 6 available on Big Bad Toy Store, and I saw somebody looking for one today
for like $250.
Yeah, they were $250, and somebody was looking for one today on Hyperdrive, and I thought I'll direct him to Big Bad Toy Store, but I checked and they'd all sold out. So I think people are now kind of backtracking and trying to pick up the pieces that they missed out on just to complete the line. It's like that thing.
That's
isn't it?
crazy.
You got to have them all.
But this line could go into the 90s.
Oh yeah, easily.
I hope not.
It could go forever, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he could theoretically string this out for 10 years. He's going to kill me. He's absolutely going to. I'm going to be buried in. Yeah, I mean, realistically, I'm not going to collect them all. So I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to draw the line, and like Palm said, just hope he dives into. I'm trying to think how many maquettes are in Indiana Jones. I don't think there was many. So. I'm just hoping he sort of slows it down a bit.
Well, what's interesting is right now what's kind of happening is you're kind of waiting because the Tuscan was kind of the last big thing. They always come out with something big at some point, right? But I feel like this concept Rancor is pretty big. Like it's a pretty big deal. So like will they come out with something big soon after this, right? Like will they consider this kind of that size of a thing and kind of just do some of the smaller maquettes?
I think that's a good question, Matt. I think they hit a sweet spot, right? Because they're affordable, they're easy to I want to say easier to turn out, but rather than sitting in a studio with 50 salacious crumbs all around you, or 50, 2-foot tall Rancors around you, like I think it's a little bit more easier to control display and control like the input and output of the maquettes. So I just think this is a real sweet spot. And plus it's one of those things where like it appeals to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you drop the big stuff, I mean, they always do well. They sell out, they look amazing, but it's a little bit more of a niche. Like you're going in more to the diehard collectors. This is a little bit more like for people who aren't necessarily diehard, but like Star Wars.
Yeah.
It doesn't really phase anybody out financially. Like I feel like this is a really good happy medium. But I mean, it's Regal Robot. It's only a matter of time before something drops. It's going to be like jaw dropping,
Yeah, CC, you don't F around with any of this stuff, right? You don't do any concept stuff, right?
I'm just very limited in what I like per usual. So I've always had like a fondness for the Tauntaun. Yeah, so I have the large Tauntaun and then the smaller like busts. And so I mean, if there's one I was going to get, it would be this one. And I loved that. Like they announced that they were gonna have like a special like legacy edition. And I was like, how can they make it better?
Yeah.
And that sketch, like part of me just would have been happy with just the sketch and not the maquette itself. But I think I just try to be more selective. I feel like my year this year was like your year in 2020 where I just like went two balls to the wall.
Yeah, too much.
But I did think that this was really nice looking.
Well, it's interesting now that they're changing, like that they've caught on. Maybe it's just, I don't know, but the whole, like let's say if with the Rancor, they just gave you I don't know if you guys remember, if many of you have this, but they gave you kind of a picture.
Yeah.
With the Rancor, right? Yeah. And so they have been doing that for a while, but it hasn't been anything that's like significantly, like this is actually a great way to do it, where you're getting a behind the scenes pic with the figure, with the plaque in the same, display situation. Like that's really cool.
But here's the thing though, we got to ask, this frame, is it acid-free materials and museum glass? No, I'm kidding.
Well, okay. Question: how much more is this situation than
like a $400 difference?
Just the normal one,
right? Is it $12.99 versus $16.99 or something?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a difficult one because me and Palmer have been talking about it as well, just about the is it when you see the sketches. From Phil, if you look at his sort of, I instantly went on Prop Store looking at prices of Phil Tippett artwork, and it does go in pre-production. Return of the Jedi sketches from him go into the thousands.
Yeah, sure.
But I do like. I think this is a really unique offering. I know people are looking at it and they think, oh, it's just a 5-second sketch, but I do think it. It is a really unique offering. It may not feel like it now, but I just think it sits in your collection, and for $300-400 more on a payment plan, I just couldn't resist it. So
it's a nice touch. I agree, and you can't discount the size of it or like the subject matter. Not to go too off topic, but it reminds me of that quote, which I may be misquoting, but the woman sees Picasso outside a cafe in Paris. Hey, can you draw me something? Scribbles it on a napkin real quick for, in under a minute and says, that'll be X amount of dollars. And she said, wait a minute, it took you, a minute to do that. He said, no, it took me 30 years. So, you take that to how it means. And like, you're right, Tony, some people are going to, I mean, anytime Regal Robot drops something, people always try to contest the price and never take into consideration what's really going into it. Right. But yeah, this one compared to the large one has a lot more minute detail. And
a lot of variation, color variation.
Yeah, the purplish and whites and browns. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's interesting. I did go on the listening to Tom's sort of live stream when they released the rank when he showed it off for the first time, and I did ask him because there's loads of pictures of the concept maquette. Online, you can see loads of pictures, and the color variation depending on whether you use flash photography or, Matt, you'll probably know, you work in this industry, but
sure.
There are pictures of the Rancor out there, the maquette, where he almost looks completely purple. And then there are times where he looks completely brown, and then there's times where there's that, like you see in the image there, there's purpley brown patches on him. And I think Tom did say, I think they had to sort of mess around with the paint quite a bit to try and get the balance right.
Yeah. Well, that's the tough part about those old images, is that it could also be a little bit of the
degradation.
What film they used when they took a picture, like all their lighting, everything. There's all kinds of stuff that could change the color of something, right? So they got a lot to deal with when it comes to that. But this looks great. I mean, the variation looks really good, and I know the puppet version has some variation, especially on the tail, but I don't think it has as many like the patina spots. Some of the patina spots. Some of the purple.
I love the tail. I don't know. There's just something, I don't know. It just.
It's got a lot of really cool little things to it. Which, okay, so this is the difference between the puppet, the other version that I have, and the newer one. So, okay, so this one doesn't have the little drip either.
No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. One thing I did, and I'd never spotted it before, but I think they're right, is that Kenner made their Rancor toy off the maquette. And I'd never spotted it before until it obviously this was being announced, and it was just I knew about the Ralph McQuarrie one, but obviously Kenner needed to go ahead and make the toy, and I think that because they only switched to a puppet really late on in the production, I think, because they were trying to do it in a suit, weren't they, and it just didn't work,
right?
And I think was it Dennis Muren sort of suggested going to a sort of high-speed puppet, and they'd already filmed all the sort of live action shots with Mark Hamill. So how they got this to work anyway is just I just find it really incredible.
It's the reason why I was sitting here 35 years still talking about it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's so genius.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing as well, I'm glad that when he first announced this, I thought this is going to be a really, really, really low edition size. But I think he's given everybody a really good check, because I think you can still pick up the signature edition anyway. So
can you? Is it still there?
Yeah, he's almost sold out. He's almost sold out. But because there was I don't know. At the time of ordering, it was really difficult because the website crashed. It was everybody had piled on to try and get their order in, and Regal's website just sort of went down for a few minutes, and it was really, you had to keep refreshing to log back into it. So
yeah, but I mean, look at all the cool, variation of stuff. I mean, I may not be down for all of it, but like there is some really cool variation there.
What's frightening me, Matt, is what's that picture going to look like in a year?
Yeah,
exactly right. I mean, this thing, he's not going to be able to fit this thing on the light box or whatever he's got going on here. He's gonna have to get a massive studio to take a picture of the damn collection. So it's pretty amazing, man. And I love that he's putting like hair on some of them, and there's just so many cool variations.
Would you get an Ewok maquette, Matt?
What's that?
Would you get an Ewok?
Yes.
Maquette. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's probably. I mean, honestly, give me anything Ewok, and I'll freaking chop a hand off for it. Like I there's just not enough of it, I feel like, out there. I really am waiting, and it's probably going to cost me an arm and a leg, but I'm really waiting for him to put out like a good solid bust of like
a real
or something. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm not making jokes here, but I'm being serious. Did anybody have the because I think I have every one here except for the what's it called, the Gamorrean and Baby Yoda. Does anybody here have Grogu?
No.
Okay. Oh, good for you guys. Taking a stand.
I didn't buy
taking a stand against the man.
We were thinking of buying it for you, Matt.
Oh, honestly, that's the only one in this group here that I would just smash to bits, right? If I could. But other than that, I do think the Jabba looks like a hunk of Play-Doh sitting on a stone, like a piece of stone. But like other than that, like for the most part, like if you put them all together like this, it just looks cool.
Yeah,
it just looks really
good together.
I mean, Cece mentioned it just a minute ago, but the Tauntaun maquette is really fantastic.
It's fantastic.
You know, it really is.
I've been waiting and hoping somebody at some point would take that Tauntaun maquette and send it to a person and actually get one of those like really painted really well, because it's just like, wasn't it just like primer on there? Like it's not,
I think it is. Yeah, just primer. Yeah.
I mean, that thing, it's so well made and so like good looking. I mean, I've seen it in person because he's had it at some of the that thing sat around.
Yeah,
for a hot minute.
Years.
Oh, years. Yeah.
Years.
And it was being discounted heavily. I think BBTS had that discounted. And Java sat around for a while too.
Yeah.
Java was a favorite of mine. I liked that piece.
True. That's true.
And that sat around for a hot minute. I think when I did an unboxing, and I was the only one in the group that had gotten it originally.
Yeah,
I think Steve got it later down the line, but I don't think you or Chris or any. Yeah,
no, I don't.
I had Steve bought it, didn't he? Didn't like it because that primer on it, sold it, and then bought it back again.
Yeah, but I think he did. He did buy it back, right? Didn't he buy it back?
Yeah,
we got the Tauntaun said he bought it back. Yeah.
EC, when did you pick up the Tauntaun?
It was pretty. It was pretty early on. I think before. It might have been before like I owned an RS helmet or anything. I found one aftermarket, so I got it at a discount because it was the price that kind of scared me away, especially back then. So yeah, I've had mine for a few years, but it's the primer gray that I love about it. I feel like you could appreciate the details because of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the same way I love the Snowtrooper helmet concept maquette. So I have them side by side. So yeah, I it doesn't bother me that it's unpainted.
That's true.
And it came from
look good together.
Yeah,
it came from the original molds as well. That one did the Tauntaun. So
yeah.
I just want to acknowledge everyone in the chat real quick. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. If you have a question, throw it in there. We might answer it. We might not. So it is what it is. We're just kind of hanging out and chatting. Just saying, having a good time. So anyway, this is fantastic. How long do you think this will be around? When did this come out? This came out, what, a couple days? How long has this been out?
4 days ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the Legacy sold in 10 minutes, and then the Signature is, I think he's done 80%.
Yeah.
So I'd say what surprises me is the Tuscan bust is still available. I cannot believe that has not sold out. I just cannot believe that has not sold out.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you, Tony. I just think that in this like current state, like economy, I just think the only reason for that is just where things are currently, like on a financial level with people. But otherwise, I think if that wasn't the case, that would have been long gone.
It's really good.
It is in hand. It's fantastic.
Did they make the same number of gaffy sticks as they made Tuscan busts? Was it 150?
Oh, I don't know.
Because the gaffy stick sold out pretty quick, and I would have thought that anybody who bought a gaffy stick would probably be looking at.
The gaffy stick was 150. So how many?
Is 150. It was 150 J on the bust as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm certainly surprised that it hasn't sold out.
Did anyone get both?
Aaron had said, I kind of wish they were pegged instead of glued, so you can put them on raw boards. Aaron, do you have any? Because if you remove the Regal Robot sticker on the bottom of the base, you can unscrew them right off the base. They're not glued down. Right? I think for most of them, no.
I've not tore off the sticker, so I don't know. But,
yeah, what my weak quake came in damaged. He was damaged. The base was damaged. So it was the side facing forward that you would display. So I was like, how would I, flip this around so I can face it the other way and the damage is in the back. And then I was like filling around and I realized if you pull the sticker back, you can unscrew it. Yeah. Or was it my Tauntaun? I think it was one of the Tauntauns, but one of them I was able to unscrew and flip it around to hide a little bit of the nick on the base. Maybe they're not. Maybe some of them are and some of them aren't. I'm not sure.
Matt, are you getting the gaffy stick as well because you have the Tuscan bust?
I think so. I'm supposed to. That's something that I think is coming sooner than later. I don't know, Jason. I think you're the one that's dealing with them on that.
Yeah, that's incoming for sure. And then
That thing, the New Hope version is gonzo, right? It's sold out.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a few. Oh no, there's what's the second edition, the Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian one, right?
That one's not sold out, right?
No, no one gives a shit about that one.
Mandalorian.
I mean, you tell him, Matt.
I'm just saying, like, no, that's why it's still there. No one cares, right? Like, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot they used that in the Mandalorian, right?
Well, that's the thing. I was gonna say, it's got its own, what do you call it? Like, it's the one that, not the one, but it's based off the one that was used in the show, because Regal Robot actually made the one for the.
Correct. It's almost
got
more
uniqueness.
Yeah, it's unique.
That New Hope one looks lethal. I've seen reviews of it. It looks, if you knock somebody on the head with that,
thing's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not only you can knock him in the head and then stab him in the throat.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the end of that thing is like metal, isn't it?
They are quite different though aesthetically. Like if you look at the Mandal one, it looks more like a it does look more like a TV prop kind of.
Yeah.
Versus it doesn't look like an actual weapon.
Right.
I think the spike on the end is resin.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh,
the
okay.
rest of it's metal.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
I got to check out Rob's when I was over there.
So quick question. This is kind of this guy. Yeah. Well,
clarify.
Both. Quick question. I don't want to shift us too far away, but like, I do want to ask this. Bringing this up, what did you guys think of Ahsoka?
Don't ask the question.
Did you not like it,
Rob?
Not really.
Rob,
he's using his sound effects. No, nobody.
There are a couple of things that were kind of half decent, but
I mean, did you guys not like the Anakin section? Like,
that was the only thing I liked.
That was my favorite parts, and I think it was a little slow. Honestly,
fell off after that.
I did like the Ray Stevens character. I thought he was really good. He was just a really good performance, and I thought because he wasn't a Sith, he was sort of he was a bit of a grey area, and I thought he was an interesting character, but and I did quite like I think it was Time to Fly, when they copied basically the TIE fighter attack from Star Wars, but it felt like a cartoon brought onto live action, and it's not for me. I'm not invested in those characters. But
I disagree, Tony. I think it would have been better as a cartoon.
An anime.
Yeah, I think it would have been. I just think it would have been better. Just do more Rebels. Just to carry it on.
It did feel like I'd watched some of Rebels, but I haven't seen all of it, and this is where I'm not the target audience for it. So
I hear you.
Because there's loads of people that absolutely love it.
For Ahsoka or Rebels or New Star Wars?
New Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't think I'm the target audience.
No, it's not aimed at us, I don't think.
Okay, question. Did you guys like Rogue One?
Mm-hmm.
Did you like the movie Rogue One? Did you like Andor?
Loved it. Yeah, I loved Andor. Yeah.
Okay, I absolutely loved Andor. Now since then, what sucks is I don't think I've seen a very good show from Disney since Andor, other than Loki season 2, which is kind of sad, but like that's kind of the last thing that I've seen that I think they've done really well. So I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah, pumping out hot shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you haven't seen Loki season 2, by the way, it's freaking fantastic.
I've just started watching. Actually, I think I've only seen the 2 episodes yet. So
I've
heard it's really good.
Both season 1 and 2 are are crazy. Very interesting looking show. No, sorry, I didn't want to knock us off. I just wanted to see what you guys thought of that, because it was. I mean, we did Cece and I and Jason did Shelter in Space, and we kind of watched through it, and it was interesting talking with people afterwards, and some of it was really good, but some of it, like the stormtroopers being zombies, was a little bit weird, and like. But Rebels does the weird stuff, right? Rebels is that kind of like, they do some really strange shit.
Yeah.
I think for me it's just because I'm just entrenched in the original films.
Yeah.
So at this time period Luke is about, So, but he isn't in this show, and it just seems to be a lot of people wielding a lightsaber and using the Force. While he's in his prime, and I don't know. It's just, and I think there's a lot of exposition in these Disney shows where they're trying to explain stuff, and then if you go and I know we shouldn't compare the films like it's 40 years ago because nobody'd seen it before, but it was a very basic storyline. They said things that you just sort of, your father fought in the Clone Wars. What the hell's that? Well, they didn't explain it. It just went on with the story. You were dropped into the world. Here, it feels a bit, we've got to try and link this with the originals or link it to something else where they've gone off tangent with it. And there's a lot of like exposition, and it happened in the prequels, I thought, as well.
I agree.
But
you know, that's the one thing, Tony, that I really liked about Andor was that, you know, in this vast galaxy and, you know, all this stuff, like to see if you saw someone with a lightsaber, if you saw a Jedi, you would be terrified because you'd be like, I'm in some shit or something's about to go down that I shouldn't be in. I shouldn't be here, because you would never see them. You would never see a Jedi. They would be so scarce. And that's why I liked Andor, because it was like very, you didn't see any of that.
Matt. Not anymore.
I know, they're all over the place, right?
You just get stabbed to death with a lightsaber, and he just doesn't.
It's fine. It's fine.
So, and that happened in the Ahsoka. Yeah, that happened. You know, Qui-Gon was a bit unlucky then.
Anymore.
Everyone's just pulling out lightsabers.
Yeah.
No, you're not wrong. It's
just getting off him. It's just a flesh wound.
They're getting Christmas presents, and it's bad.
I thought it was interesting with Andor as well. I think the director, I can't remember the guy's name now, but I think they interviewed him, and I don't think he actually is a fan of Star Wars, which is actually probably an advantage because he probably looked at it completely differently.
I don't think any of the directors have been fans of Star Wars with what they've done to
it.
Rob's like they get a bunch of Star Trek guys directing the Star Wars episodes.
I don't even think they were that true to the characters in Ahsoka. It's like Ezra was almost like, oh shit, we have to have him in it. Is there any way we can not have him in it? Nah, really, we have to have him in it. Keep it to a minimum then.
Dude, there was a lot I did, because I do like Rosario Dawson, and I liked her performance in the sort of Mandalorian stuff, but I just felt they were using her in this where she had her arms folded a lot, and there were these long shots across the interior of the ship or outside where she's just folding her arms and they're just talking, and it's just, again, going back to the exposition, but a lot. I mean, like I said, it's not aimed at me, so
that's okay.
I don't hate it. I'm just hoping that we get something. You know, I'm looking forward to Andor 2, and they're doing another Light and Magic as well, because I thoroughly enjoyed that as well.
Right.
I thought that was really good.
Right, and not everything has to be for everybody, which is
you can dip in and out of it. So
I think one of the problems with it was, as we all know, George's famous saying, "Do it quicker and more intense."
Yeah,
I think with Ahsoka, it is more a case of do it slower and with a lot more sexual ambiguity.
Rob, was there any character in that show that you like? Did you like the Ray Stevens?
Oh, brilliant! Brilliant. Yeah, it was really good. And then straight away, you knew it was going to be underused.
Yeah, it's too bad, man.
I know what's going to say. The Thrawn character, so he's never mentioned at all in the, because they're obviously, are they going to link this to the sequel trilogy? Wow. So he can't be that big a deal then, can he?
But Tony, this
is
the problem that Star Wars has in general, right? Like if you don't,
I think he's actually Snoke's dad. So
Thrawn is a huge deal. Thrawn's a really big deal, right? And that's the problem. It's like, how do you have someone like Thrawn that's never mentioned anywhere else, but they can't go back and redo shit, right? Like, so what do you do at that point? Do you just not make new things and not put these? I don't know how they. That's probably something that they have to deal with that sucks about them. What they have to deal with, you know what I mean? The canon side of it. How do you do that? I don't know. Andre says Andor was so good it was sadly overlooked. Most of the other recent Star Wars shows have had incoherent stories. Well, I think
Kenobi as well was I was really disappointed with that, because I was really looking forward to it, because I out of the prequels, I thought Ewan McGregor was
he's great.
A standout. He's a fantastic actor.
Absolutely.
And I think
he still was great.
He was great in this, but the story, the writing was poor.
Yeah.
I thought the writing was poor.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't Boba Fett level poor, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
It wasn't far off though.
God, those bikes. Yeah, those bikes. God.
Shifting a little bit. Have you guys seen this? Yeah. Rob, have you seen this yet?
I posted it recently.
I've seen it posted. Is this Merlin Models?
This is Merlin Models, yeah.
Okay.
So, Jason, do you want to explain like what they're doing here?
So basically, from what I gather, don't quote me on any of this, but following along the project when they first announced it, this is being offered kind of as a statue, if you will, right? Similar to like just a piece that you buy and display. Now, for those who want to build and/or paint, they are offering a kit for them, and the PO goes up, I think, this week, right? And this, we had talked about this before, right? Because this is somewhat of a miniature, if you will. I mean, not a miniature, like the Ewoks are tiny, but it's a decent sized piece.
Yeah.
So one thing we talked about, I think the three of us, me and Cece, were talking about the detail, right? Like the fur, the backpacks, the weapons. And I was like, it would really take a lot to get this to really bring it to life. And I remember saying, like, well, if anybody can do something unique like that, I think it would be Merlin, especially with their experience and the things that they've had their hands in. And what I like about this is it's just very unique in and of its own right. It's kind of like when you start getting into the conversations of like the shoulda, coulda, woulda of mythos and, oh, here's another Darth Vader, here's another Darth Maul. They should have done this. They could have done that. This is one of those ideas where it's like, wouldn't it be awesome if, and it actually came to fruition. Like you actually have Ewoks. It's like a B-roll, right? It's like a behind the scenes of Ewoks just like going ham and attacking, the walkers and the troopers and stuff like that. But I think this kind of like the Regal Robot Maquettes, if you will, is very, very unique and different.
Yeah.
And it takes that kind of thinking to be so outside of the box that people just absolutely fall in love with it. Now, this is going to be one of those pieces where people are like, or it's like an absolute must-have. I don't think this is going to be a happy medium where they're like, yeah, I love it, but I'm not going to buy it. It's either going to be like, nah, I don't want this thing, or I have to have this thing.
Yeah.
I think this is great. I mean, I think an offering like this is something that we don't get. It's definitely not for everybody, but I think this is a home run. And again, from my point of view, my opinion, I think this is a cracking piece. This is
well,
amazing.
it's interesting. It's almost something that you'd see from like an Iron Studios, right?
Yes, exactly.
It does these little like diorama things, like what was the big X-Men one that they did?
Oh, and they're all attacking the
Sentinel.
Sentinel. Exactly. That's what it reminds me of.
Right.
A diorama piece.
Right, and it's interesting because we don't really have that for Star Wars, and so I like that they're doing this.
Ever.
And it's cool. They are getting this dude right here. What's his? I don't know his name. They're getting this dude as a painter, which apparently he's like a very, very, very well respected miniature painter. I think, right? Is that correct, Jason?
Yeah, I'll let me pull up his name real quick so we have it, just so it doesn't come across as disrespectful. His name is, let me see here. Let me see. Don Serratos.
Okay, yeah.
Don Serratos. I think he has a YouTube channel if I remember correctly. Because I've watched a few of the miniature paintings just to learn different techniques and stuff like that. Not that it applies to ILM style painting, but it's always good to see how other people do things. But yeah, if you can look at some of the smaller elements here, it's fantastic.
It's quite a disturbing looking. Just looking at those Ewoks.
Yeah,
they're going to eat them.
Yeah, 100%. After they're done, they're going to chew them up.
And he knows it. Look at his face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. This is a tough one for me because I'm not quite sure how I don't get this. Because there's not a lot of Ewok stuff anyway. Period. And
it reminds me a little bit of the Kotobukiya one that they did, which is a bit more on the animated style, but this is obviously a bit more realistic. I think they're going to release a series of these, aren't they? They're going to do kind of dioramas from different movies.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so, and I think if they do, I think it's going to go in a good direction for sure.
Get that back up. Hold on. Yeah, no, I think they will, and I think it'll be. I think it will be successful. I mean, at the same time, like freaking who knows anymore what people actually want, but you know, in terms of, I don't know. I think this is kind of a home run. It
Rob,
will.
what are your thoughts on this, Rob?
What the paint looks like, though.
It's interesting. The detail looks amazing.
Yeah.
But it does look like a statue.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah,
Is this something you think you can find yourself displaying or no?
I don't think it's for me.
Okay.
It's really not for a lot of. I can't imagine it's for a lot of.
No, it's very niche. That's why I said it's one of those things where it's either no or like I have to have it. I think it's going to be one of those. Yeah.
I think when I see it like that as a whole, I'm less interested. But when you see the detail, then it looks pretty cool, actually.
Right, I got you.
Detail's the wow factor.
I get you.
Yeah, for sure.
CC, do you think you could see yourself?
How big is it?
Maybe not this one, but like if they do more of these, is there something that would make you think, yeah, I got to get something like that?
I can't remember how big this is. Do we have dimensions?
That's a good question.
I don't know, Rob. Yeah, it looks like a decent size because I don't know exactly, but if you look at their main picture, it says right here. Okay, dimensions are wow. It's 1/16 scale, so it's approximately 15 by 15 by 15. So this isn't as tiny as it looks.
Right.
Is that in inches?
Yes. Yeah, that's gonna be in it. Yeah, it's gonna be in it. Well, centimeters would make a big difference. Yeah, it's in inches, Rob, and
that's quite.
So it almost puts the
thing then.
Yeah, so it almost puts the head almost equivalent to the studio scale model. Not quite, but close enough. So. Yeah, I mean, it makes it where like those figures are probably going to be equivalent to like maybe a little smaller than a Kenner figure.
I think that's a problem for me. It looks a little bit like a toy.
That's what exactly. So,
and the driver looks like Jim Carrey.
Not to disparage anyone who's into this. I feel like there's diorama people and then there's not diorama people. Kind of like there's Hot Toys people and there's not Hot Toys people.
Sure.
So for me, I think this looks a little too figurine like. So not necessarily for me, no.
I mean, about 15 odd years ago, Sideshow did a whole series of dioramas, didn't they?
Yeah.
They were
doing
more. They duplicated them in like bronze and stuff. Yeah, they did the Whopper and
exactly. So it reminds me of that type of series. So for those type of collectors, it's probably something that they'd be interested in.
Yeah, although I will say though, I'm not a huge diorama person, but I look at something like this and I'm like, yeah, I could probably
look at the Ewoks.
This. I know that's what I'm saying. Like. The Ewoks are fantastic, and especially the Ewoks too. Ewoks effing other people up, like just really messing them up. Like that's great, dude. Like
it's all the boxes.
It's great.
It's interesting you said what you said, Parminda, because this reminds me of like this would be like a Sideshow, but a Mythos diorama. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel like you ever see Ewoks be this brutal, right? Like an Ewok dragging someone out of an ATSD head, to kill him and burn him, like. That's fantastic. I mean, I'm assuming he's going to be burnt, so I don't know if that's the case.
You know what else is good about this? You can tell they put a lot of thought into it because the Ewok is showing his size, right? He's struggling.
Yeah,
he's struggling getting the guy out, but you also know the guy's like, oh shit, these furry little buggers are gonna. Yeah, it's terrifying. So like you can see the almost real life contrast of like his size coming into play that he's struggling,
Jason,
but at the same time he's furious enough to.
Jason, did you ever play what's the game called? It's the last big Star Wars game where it was like multiplayer and you could I can't remember. Battlefront, yeah, Battlefront 2, I think it was. They had a mode in there that was Ewok, basically Ewoks hunting stormtroopers.
I remember that.
And when you were a stormtrooper, it was terrifying, dude. Like you saw little creatures running around, and like you got
shooting everywhere.
Would you hear them in the woods? And
like, dude, you could hear them, and they're like they can blow their like horns and shit, and like you knew you were about to get just completely screwed. And that's how I feel about this. It's like them taking over these. It's just so good, dude. I freaking love it. Anyway, we'll see. I have to see. Do you know, Jason? Do you know the price on this thing? What they're
painted is, I think, painted and finished right to display is $9.99.
Okay.
And then regular, so unassembled kit is $3.99, and then Pro Paint Commission by Don Cerratos is $9.99, and during the pre-order you get $50 off.
Okay.
And then payment plans, obviously,
payment plans.
As you're waiting, as they produce.
Man, I tell you, if you knew how to paint this yourself and do the whole situation, you'd be pretty set, because that's not bad at all for something like this.
No, 400. But here's the thing: this is such a unique piece. Like most other things, give me the kit, I'll build it and paint it. But this, I would have to buy. I couldn't match that. There's no way.
No way. Not to mention, someone like me can't literally cannot do it. So I'd have to get the painted version, I think. But I'm glad they're offering that, because I was worried initially that they were not going to offer that. And so
I think they're going to sell more finished ones than they are kits.
I would think so.
Yeah,
I would think so. Yeah.
It's nice to see something different as well, from the, standard sort of statue or bust or.
It's
It is, really, and it's cool. Also going to appeal to a different community, because you have the miniatures community. There's that, I don't know the name of the game, but there's that Star Wars game, kind of like a D&D, where they build and paint the small miniatures.
Legions.
What is Star Wars Legions?
Yeah, Legion. So you can buy the preset, the ones in the packages where it's like the Slave One, and they get all the different vehicles. But then some people do their own painting and things like that. So I think all around, this will appeal to that audience as well, for people who like stuff. And, yeah.
Well, hey, while I pull this other thing up, Cece, you want to tell us how your trip went to the UK?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it rained. To the shock of everyone. I mean, it was. Yeah, it was good. No, like,
it rained in Manchester. That's crazy.
Shocking. I know, very shocking. No, it was great. I loved catching up with Rob, Andrea, and everyone else, and that convention was great too. It was really cool.
Which one was it? The blur? Was it Blurb? What was it?
Yeah, Blurb.
Thought Bubble.
Yeah,
Thought Bubble. Blurb Bubble.
Oh no, that's something else. Different convention.
Furry convention. No, yeah. So it was Thought Bubble, and is it mainly like poster art type stuff, or is it just?
Well, it's mainly comic artists, but there's like a whole like section almost of the convention that's poster artists. So that was really cool. I got to meet artists that were like household names to me for years. Matt Ferguson and Vice Press, like their booth was like the span of like 3 booths combined.
Wow.
Yeah, cool. So they make a big deal of it.
Did you come back with a shit ton of stuff, prints?
Did you not see the photo?
Yeah, I saw the picture of you trying to.
Wait, did you take those back, or did you mail them?
I took them back, but like the look on my face was, I didn't realize Rob was taking a picture. I just look up and he's got his camera like this. Picture of like the carnage. He kindly helped me figure out how to get all those prints, and it's funny because I didn't think I bought that many, but yet it was a big production trying to get them in my suitcase.
That picture, I forget who it was, but someone had asked me, and I was like, no, I was like, she wasn't gonna fly 12 hours. I was like, she probably just mailed those back, and then by the time she get home, I didn't think you took all those back with you. Yes, I
trusted them more to stay with me than I would ever trust mailing some of those, because while I did pick it up for a friend, I did get the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is the poster Matt Ferguson did that everyone was pretty much camping out at midnight for, and I can attest to that because I did walk past the venue at midnight, and there's
did he have a lot of them
camped out. He said between 50 and 40 that he had. And so by time, and it was funny, like, so we walk in, me, Rob, and Andrea, and Rob just looks at me and goes, do what you need to. We'll see you later. And I just beelined. I beelined to the Vice Press booth, and there's a small line. It's one of the few booths that had an actual line, but they do have like a little bit of a queue. And
As soon as as soon as she went, I was like, "How rude!" I didn't think she would actually do it. How rude!
Yeah, how could she?
How
do that?
rude!
That was a test and I failed, is what you're saying? Yeah, she abandoned us. But one of the vice press employees turned to James, the co-founder, and was like, "We have 6 Guardians left."
Oh wow!
And I looked, and there's probably 10 people in front of me, and I was just like, "Oh crap!" Because I have a friend who has the first one, the second one, and was worried he wasn't going to be able to third. I only have the second one. That's the like Empire Strikes Back inspired one, modeled after Roger Castile, who passed away this week. And I'm totally happy with just the second one because it's so hard getting the first one. I didn't want to bother with it. I'm you know what? I'll just have ones I like. I don't have to be a completionist, almost like the Regal Robot Maquettes. I don't need to own everyone.
Sure.
But yeah, I managed to get that and some small things. Like I don't have the unicorn in front of me because I actually took him to the office, but I got the little like metal unicorn. Matt did a smaller
Matt Ferguson
one.
version.
Yep. I got a t-shirt too. Oh yeah, Rob got one too for his Blade Runner display.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's beautiful. I should have had you cop one for me. I really like that.
He put extras on his website, so he might still have
to.
Rob,
did you like the convention? Because I didn't know you went to it.
I enjoyed the weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Do you see how I dodged that?
Yeah. I did.
Okay, I'll give you my review as a non-print fanatic. So we walked in there, and Cece was just gone. You know, like Roadrunner.
Yeah.
There was just dust hanging where she'd been.
Paper dust trails.
And so just started having a little mooch around, and I went to the first place, and they had this amazing poster, and I was like, so I bought that, and I was like, oh my god, this could get expensive. Anyway, there was virtually nothing else that was of interest to me.
Well, that's good. That's good.
But it was good.
Yeah. It's always interesting seeing this stuff anyway.
It was kind of one of them weird conventions where they've got all independent comics.
Yeah.
And they've got some sixth form kid kind of sat there like, oh, yeah, I made this comic.
Yeah, right. And
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good.
It was funny trying to get back in the car because I was sat in the back with what I called our life decisions. Yeah. And Rob had picked up the posters, and then I had all my posters, so it was just me in the back.
I did pick up another poster and an amazing fanzine, which I've not read yet, but that was good.
Oh, that's cool.
Caught up with some friends. I spent a weekend in Harrogate.
Harrogate.
With CC, so.
Where's that in terms of like how far away is that from Manchester? Like, what did you have to?
About an hour and a half, or with traffic more. 2
South
hours or something.
North.
Oh wow. Headed north. Okay, cool. Well, Cece, I'm glad you were able to make it out there. That's awesome. That's a really unique.
What was Matt Ferguson like, CC? Cool.
It was. It was so funny because he was so nice. Like everyone was so nice, and it was strange because, like, I went to the screening that Vice Press did for Batman because I wanted to get the poster that was going to go with the screening. So that was one of the things I had to try to figure out how to put in my suitcase. And so he rang me up for the poster, and I was just like, by the way, it's nice to meet you. My name's Cece. And he was like, oh, like he recognized my name. And I was like, okay, I guess we're off to a good start, right?
He said,
and
CC.
Yeah, the print. You mean the print show, CC?
The stalker.
I don't think he watches the print show or anything, but
yeah, he does.
And then, of course, like I waited so I grabbed everything. Like Rob was right. My plan was to just beeline, grab everything I wanted that I thought was going to sell out, and then just chill out for the rest of the time and just look at what everyone had and not stress and stuff like that. So, of course, I waited till Sunday to talk to all the artists and stuff like that, like say hi, be social. And I'd already lost my voice by then. And so even James, the co-founder of Vice Press, gave me a cough drop because I was that fucking pathetic. So he was very nice. But yeah, it was, and of course, like Matt Ferguson, notoriously, he's told me he won't smile for photos because it's like a line of people, he's like, "Are you serious? I'm going to smile for like all these people." So naturally, when I asked if he could do a photo, he smiled for my picture. So yeah, really nice dude. Everyone was really nice. And I was still shocked, like Dave Kennedy, who was there, who I know because of Rob, another artist. He introduced me to a bunch of kind of poster artists, and I thought it was funny. He was like kind of going around being like, at the screening, a bunch of the artists went, and so he was like, "This is Andy Fairhurst, this is Sam Gilby," and all this, and I was like, "Yep, I'm familiar." Andy Fairhurst said something like, "Dave, she's not going to know our work," and I was like, "I've had like 3 of your prints in my living room for like 5 years now," and he went, "Oh, what the fuck?" Like,
that's cool.
So yeah, that was super cool. And like I went to the screening, and like the chair numbers were all weird because they had actually upgraded to a bigger theater. And the guy in the row behind me who's helping me try to figure out my seat, Matt was like, "Oh, it's just our dodgy like British numbering system, whatever. Just sit here, no one's gonna kick you out of it." And I was like, "Yeah," I was thinking maybe it was jet lag or something. And the guy in the row behind me goes, "Oh, are you Cece?" And I was like, "I am." And he was like, "Oh, okay, I'm Chris." And it didn't click, and he could tell it didn't click. And he was like, "Chris Thornley, I'm the artist who did the poster for the screening." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like he remembered that I said I was gonna apply for this." Like, yeah, I was a total fangirl the entire weekend. And I even it was,
no, I'm glad. Cool. I'm glad you had a great time.
Best of both worlds to catch up with the RS guys and do all of that. And I even told Andrea once the dust had settled and I'd gone home that I keep pinching myself that I was able to do a trip like that, and just really grateful for them for making all that happen. Honestly,
Cece, did you get your human eyeballs on a one of the helmets, one of the new Bausch helmets?
The in progress ones. Yeah, I think the prototype was quite high for me to reach on the shelf, but I did eyeball that as well.
We did that on purpose.
Keep it away with Cece.
Well, if you look at that, I do love the group shot that we took because I look so small, and it's not often that I feel like I look very small. So that picture is definitely getting framed somewhere. But yeah, it was great. And Simon brought in like the helmet that started it all. And
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I saw that. That's special.
Eat fish and chips the size of my face. It was amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Rob, how are things at RS? Are they moving along? You feel pretty good?
Yeah.
Good. Because you're bringing back the Gold Leader helmet too, right?
Yeah, a lot more organized.
Yeah, that's good.
So getting back to where we were pre-fire, I think now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Rob, were you guys always thinking of? Were you always going to bring back the Gold Leader at some point, or?
Yeah. Because the edition was 100, and then we only did 25 of them.
That's right.
So I'm trying to track them down so we can make sure we've got all the numbers right, because usually
I have one of them.
We have the plaques, so we know, okay, we can pick up from number whatever it is, but we didn't have the plaques, so we had them all redone again. So
yeah, that's right.
I think mine has a number on it. Mine doesn't have a number.
It's on the COA, Matt.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
it's on the COA, Matt. Because remember, we did the unboxing, and I think they released I think they put the sale up for the 25 when we did the show, right, Rob? Way back when?
Quite possibly.
Yeah, and then the 25 got gobbled up. And then I remember announcing it's going to be an edition of 100.
Yeah.
And then the 75, whatever. Yeah, so that's interesting. Okay. I totally forgot about that.
That's great that people are going to get their hands. That's a great helmet.
When does that drop?
We're putting a wait list out. I'm trying not to do pre-orders if we can help it. So the first 25 are done complete.
Oh, good. Cool.
And there was a lot of people from the initial run that have been emailing Andrea quite regularly. So she started a list. So she's been getting in touch with all of those people.
Oh, good. Tony, did you get one of the original ones?
Yeah. I was watching I actually watched it again because Chris reposted
Number 18, I believe, Tony.
That's right.
17.
Don't put it too far back, Rob.
I was messaging Rob, but no, I rewatched the live stream again when you guys sort of launched the helmet. It was COVID, wasn't it? 2020.
Yeah.
So and I did rewatch some of the Angus McGuinness interview that Rob did. Well, must 4 or 5 years ago, but I did. That's if anyone's watching and hasn't seen that interview, they need to watch that because
it's really good.
He's a really cool. Well, Rob will probably say he just looks a really interesting character. So,
he was a really cool guy.
Parminder, did you jump on that as well?
No, I'm on the wait list. I missed the first run, so hopefully I'll get in there.
Yeah, you'll get. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. It's a great helmet.
Really nice. Yeah,
I like it. Oh, I like it a lot. Tony? By the way, where do you have all your helmets? Are they up next to you? Right.
Oh yeah.
Are they kind of all around?
I can't move the camera, but they're sort of. I've got sort of 3 or 4 over there.
Spread out.
Got sort of one here. Yeah, they're all surrounding me.
Do you tend to display them on their own, or do you put things with them at all?
Yeah, the Y-wing is in its own case with I've got a small Y-wing model from Lee Ralph.
That Y-wing helmet is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's that I thought deserved its own sort of spot.
It's amazing.
Well, they all do really, but I just don't have the space. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's in its own display case, and then I've got a gold leader next to an RS tie, and then I've got sort of the Stormtrooper one is the HDPE one, which is really special.
I get that one too. I don't have the I don't have a tie yet, but those are pretty massive, aren't they? The tie
huge. Yeah, they're huge.
Freaking massive. That's so crazy.
You can see it next to the TK in my shot, just in.
Up top there.
Yeah. You can see how much bigger it is than the TK.
That's true. Crazy.
They don't look abnormal when you're watching the ties on film.
No.
They don't look like bobbleheads, but if you put the tie helmet on yourself, even if you have like the outfit, right, you still look kind of silly.
Yeah.
But I don't know, for some reason in the movie they look proportionate.
Well, even in the recent ones, even like in Andor and Mandalorian, when you see some of that stuff, they still don't look weird. It looks proportional.
And even the AT-AT drivers look very proportionate.
Right.
And think about it, back then, people will have to size, like weight-wise. They were so skinny back then.
Yeah. Rob, are you guys still making progress on AT-AT?
Yes.
Yeah, that's coming along.
Yes.
I'm excited for that.
That's going to be a big deal, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's got to... Does that just have so many little bits and bops on it that like?
Yeah, I think we were actually going to do
all the little greeblies. Yeah.
I think we're at one point, if we still can, Rob, we were going to jump on and do a discussion on that, right? Me and Chris.
Yeah.
Talk about a bunch of the parts because the helmet's got quite a few interesting
that'd be
parts
cool.
and greeblies in it. Yeah,
That'd be cool. To go through what's what. This is I'll just say transition because I don't know how to transition this, but this is kind of cool. This is so. Did you guys see this when this first came out? I mean, this is sold out, which is crazy, by the way. Like all of these are sold out, and they're like really expensive.
I'm trying to pretend this doesn't exist. So
I mean, look at this, guys.
Yeah, I think it looks amazing.
I mean, can you imagine getting a Star Wars figure at this
Han Solo
quality?
Yeah.
I mean, for reals, guys. This is. I mean, this guy's dressed nicer than me. I don't have clothes like this. It's pretty amazing, and this is only like, I mean, geez, dude, this is only like one of these figures. Because they've got this version right here, that is the double. I'm trying to find a bigger shot of it.
Looks amazing, huh?
It does.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. And what is that? That is, how much is this? What's the cost on this? Do you remember? Yeah, I think it's five. I think it is $5K
for both.
Yeah, for both.
Jeez, it shows how long you've not done a show for. Hot toys are so expensive these days.
I know. Seriously, they went up like crazy. Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah.
This thing is.
So what scale are these?
This is 1/3.
Okay.
1/3, which I mean that's huge.
Pretty big.
I mean, look at that.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's crazy.
Look at that eyebrow.
I don't know. Is this molded, all this sculpted in, and then this is like rooted hair up top? Is that what's going on? That's what
it is rooted hair. Yeah. And the face is silicone, I want to say.
But is the beard rooted?
Oh, really?
CC?
I don't know about the beard.
Okay. That is crazy, dude. That's crazy. Like that looks unbelievable. This is what I want to get to for Star Wars if we can at some point. Like, well,
if they're doing Indiana Jones, then there's probably an inevitability that at some point they'll probably get the Star Wars license.
Oh man, I would hope so. But
so.
This is only, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong. This is only shipping somewhere else, right? Shipping in like what?
Technically it falls into the guideline, just like Regal Robot, right? It's geographical, so they can only ship within their region. But there's always going to be somebody who's going to be able to forward it on, and
I think for this, wasn't it Hong Kong and another place in Southeast Asia? I think they were the only two places they could ship this particular.
I think so, but I'm guessing. Yeah. I'm guessing you could probably pick this up at like what, Spec Fiction, one of those.
Yeah, I've seen it on Spec Fiction.
They had it.
And actually get it into your hands somehow.
Mm-hmm.
That's.
I think Big Bad Toy Store had it up as well.
Yeah. It's incredible, man. Like this is the kind of stuff where, I mean, it puts a lot of this sideshow stuff to shame, but. I will say, did you guys see the newer sideshow? It's the Yoda statue.
The legendary scale one.
Yeah, the new one. The new one.
Yeah.
That looked really nice.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it looks really nice.
That's killer too. They're not doing too bad.
I think sideshow, last couple of years, I think have really improved.
They've honestly kept their prices fairly. Stable too. Like I don't feel like they've gone up in price, very much, which is amazing in this time. But yeah, let's real quick. Let's go into because there's something I wanted for us to chat about. I mentioned it early on to you guys that I kind of wanted to talk about since we haven't talked in a little while. It'd be nice to talk about the collecting habits and how they've changed over the years, or if they've changed, maybe they haven't. But I'd love to hear. Kind of where everyone's at with that, right? Not so much like, hey, I got this new piece, this piece. More like, this is how my collection has changed over time, and this is why, right? I don't know. CC?
I mean, I feel like everyone hears from me all the time, so I don't know what I have to contribute that people don't already know. But I'd say like maybe in the last year, my habits have changed, in that kind of like the difference between the jump that you guys did with like the difference between Hot Toys and statues. I think it was kind of inevitable, but I start going from art prints to originals. It doesn't mean I will stop collecting art prints.
Right.
That's never going to happen.
But Cece, you've also picked up a couple things like the cowls behind you. There's other things you've picked up that you didn't have before, right? So.
Yeah, I can't remember when I got the cows, but the cows were like the Batman props were always part of the plan. So I think what was not part of the plan was original art. I felt like it was not in my
that's true
my budget necessarily, right. But I also have to remind myself to like fucking slow down and slow my roll with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be the only thing that I think has changed with me. Like I still prioritize art prints and prop replicas. I did sell a helmet, at least a PO, so that was kind of surprising, but just trying to like still stay focused and refined and not have a bunch of stuff that I don't really actually want. That makes sense.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Tony, how about you?
You say it makes sense. It's quite difficult to do.
Right. Kind of makes sense. Tony?
Well, yeah. I mean, my
Tony's collection's changed loads. I can see that from.
Look at Tony's collection. My goodness.
Looking behind you.
My wife's gone to bed. Actually, she's not watching this.
I don't see so many hot toys anymore, Tony. I'm sure you. Hot toys.
Yeah, I've kept. So I mean, since I was last on the show, my collection has changed.
Yeah,
but I have slowed down in terms of the volume that I was collecting, because primarily before I came onto sort of the Facebook groups or anything, I was primarily collecting sort of sideshow statues and hot toys heavily. But I was trying to collect, across eras in Star Wars, which for me in a room my size is impossible.
Yeah, that's tough.
And as I started getting into the groups, and I was always collecting sort of RS helmets anyway, but in terms of other sort of realistic prop replicas, I wasn't really collecting anything else. It was more statues and hot toys. But I want more sort of I guess prop replicas, and I've fallen into the models, which is something I've always loved since I was a kid. And I've been fortunate to pick up a few pieces from John Simmons, and Lee Ralph. And we're lucky we've got these guys in the UK.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that is very infrequent. They if they sell a piece and I'm able to pick it up and I can do it, then that's something that I'll look at. And they really are. They're like works of art. They're very difficult to. I've had the cloud car for a few years now, but
well, and Tony, what's I mean, I know you've gotten into Regal Robot pretty heavily as well. So what was the first piece you picked up from Regal? Do you remember?
It was the Jabba. It was the Jabba maquette.
Okay.
So that was the first that was the first piece I got, and then I missed the I always wanted the Chewbacca, the Chewbacca head, but I missed the run. I didn't. At the time it was expensive. It is expensive.
It is.
So I sold. I contacted Regal Robot, and basically he said, "Look, we can't make you a Chewie head, but we can do it, but it would have to be completely different from the signature edition." So I worked something out with him, and then did it on a payment plan, and then I was scrambling then to say, "How am I going to pay for this?"
Yeah,
and
no kidding.
I culled. And the good thing about Hot Toys is, or it was back sort of 3 years ago, they hold their value and you can sell them pretty quickly. Absolutely. And I sold 18 or 19 of my Hot Toys to fund one piece.
Yep.
And I was sort of in my mind thinking, what am I doing? But I really, really wanted the Chewie.
Yep.
I really, he had the bust available, but that's huge. And like you, Matt, I think you sort of said you sold yours because because of the room size we have.
Yeah,
it can dominate. And so I picked that up, and that's that's probably the most expensive piece.
And Tony, it's interesting because I was talking with Jason the other day, saying how much the Hot Toys market has changed. Right.
Yeah,
and like
you can give them away.
It's crazy.
I've got them on. I've got 5 on eBay that have been on there for a year and a half.
That's crazy.
And I've reduced the prices down, and I can't move them. So, and I have to recycle my collection to pay for my collection.
Yeah, right.
Because I do not what and it's so difficult when you're collecting, because you're involved in when you're involved in a collecting Facebook group, it's like it's not and FOMO is a real thing, and I have to be sensible. So what I did was said, look, I'm restricting myself. Hot Toys aren't making any original trilogy figures really. They're making 1 or 2.
It's true.
But they've moved away from that, and I'm just going to collect original trilogy. And I'm going to concentrate on, busts, prop replicas, the occasional model if I can acquire it, and that's it. And that's basically. And then I've had to miss loads of stuff, but that's the reality of it. I can't afford to collect everything.
No, of course not. Of course not.
And I've had to slow down. And I've got to say, I've learned a lot from Parminder as well, because his collection is fantastic. and I was lucky enough to actually view it earlier this year.
Oh, cool.
And he sort of said to me, just sort of slow down, just focus on what you really love, and it's the original trilogy.
Yeah,
that's what I really love.
Absolutely.
And everything else is just
and it's good for you to have a focus, Tony. I mean, the bummer about it is that currently your focus is expensive, right? Because there can be like real robots not making it simple in that sense, but at least you are focused so that you're not going, oh, I do like this, I do like that, I do, you know what I mean? Like, it's helpful to be focused at least.
I mean, at some point, I'll have to it will just be, I mean, collecting, it only ends when you end it yourself. It's very, I've seen so many people say, you can burn yourself out really quickly as well. I've seen so many people come into the hobby, and it isn't just about the collecting as well. There's a social side of it as well, which is more important to me than collecting.
Of course.
People come into the hobby, Tony, and they see your collection and Parminder's, and they're like, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
And then that's when they're buying.
They got to be.
They're buying so much stuff.
We're all in similar position. It's taken us all years to sort. It's not something I've just sort of. You could go out and just sort of. Well, you could if you had.
Well,
sort of, yeah.
But Tony, I mean, don't you? I mean, everybody. I feel like we're all in this thing that is essentially is a sickness, right? It's an addiction of sorts, and so the problem is that you see an empty shelf, and your mind wants. Yeah, Tony does.
You won't find what it is.
But like everybody, we want to fill it, right? We want to fill it with something new or something that goes with this thing or whatever, and it's just it's tough. I mean. I just in terms of my changing situation, I felt like I've finally gotten to a place where I can see the value of being content, because I don't think enough of us in this hobby can actually say that word and actually really mean it. And I'm not saying I'm completely there, but I do feel like I'm a lot closer to being content and not done. I'm not saying I'm done. I'm just saying contentedness in what I have currently, and that's a tough thing to find, right? And to be able to say as someone that wants to collect everything, right? Sure. And so other than the Ewok stuff, yes. But that said, like I think it's valuable to slow down and find a way to enjoy what you have. I mean, we've got some amazing, everyone in this group has some amazing pieces, whether that's prints, studio scale statues, whatever, helmets, whatever it is. We've got some amazing things, and to find the value in that is great. And it's like you said, Tony, it's been nice to just slow down and just not feel like I need to get every single thing. Like, I do feel that what you're saying is true. You get into a group and you almost feel required to pick things up, right?
Yeah. I mean, I as you know, with a hyperdrive, we run lots of exclusives. I've missed loads of them because my internet's terrible. But I've just had to stop them because they are something, I can't afford it. I just
too many. So many.
There's just too. There's temptation everywhere. There's a release every single week.
Right.
And the things that interest me with collecting now are sort of like lineage pieces.
Sure.
Because there's a history with them. Like the maquettes, there's a story there.
Yeah.
Like with RS helmets, there's a story there. That sort of. I guess it sort of sells you into it, but that to have something linking back to the films,
there's meaning to it,
or linking back to the toys up there,
sure,
the figures. That's a big driver for me for collecting is the toys I played with as a kid, the Star Wars figures, and that's a big. And I'm sure, and I think Parminder and Rob are probably similar. That if we see something, and that's why we probably pulled the trigger on the Tuscan bust, was probably the Kenner figure, the Palatoy figure we had as a kid. That was a big pull to it. So,
well, it's tough. Like Tony, you're saying too. It's tough because in a lot of ways, you want to be patient, and you want to allow things to come into your collection, as they come. But there's also things you just can't be patient about. Like there's things that are selling out, right? Like it sucks because there's things like Regal robot pieces. There's things like possibly RS pieces that you're like, well, there's no choice. Like you can't just.
He's a fantastic guy, but every time I switched on social media, Tom was on an interview selling the Rancor. I'm trying to stay away from it. He's on a podcast. I'm listening to him on a podcast. I'm listening to him on YouTube. But but there is the lineage side of it is a big.
Of course.
If something's got an attachment to the original films, that is quite a big pull for me.
Absolutely.
But it is nice just to slow down and appreciate things that you get in. I don't like getting lots of things in. So when it was Hot Toys, you know what it was like, Matt. They were they were just coming in floods, and I think Steve said he had something like 70 or something on pre-order at one point, and it was, and they're fantastic Hot Toys, and I still think that I will still have the original trilogy ones in my collection.
Sure.
I don't think. Because there is a tie to the toys there as well. They're like miniature people, really, and it's
crazy.
Yeah,
and they're only getting better. Some of the newer releases are just absolutely amazing.
The Ahsoka ones are amazing. Fantastic. I mean, as much as I'm not a fan of the show. The series they've done there, they really do look incredible.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, I hear you, man. It's crazy how, especially back in a little bit back, how inundated we were constantly with all kinds of stuff. And it is a great thing to now be able to go, okay, like especially being out of Hot Toys and even very, very, very slowed down on everything, just being able to like see things and not go, I have to get that. I mean, you remember when we were talking on group therapy not too long ago, even it was every time it was like, gotta get it. Got to get this thing. Like, it's the latest thing you got to pick up. But the joke was like, tomorrow there's going to be another thing you have to get. Right.
Well, there will be. And that's the sort of never ending cycle of it. And I'm trying to, I'm hoping I'm trying to break that cycle because I just want to, I want to enjoy what I've got. But I like I said, I just love the social side of it. Outside of the collecting is a really nice byproduct of what I'm doing now, which is sat talking to you guys.
Yeah.
And the friends I've made on the Facebook groups, it's just been incredible for me. Just meeting people. I mean, we've all got the same disease. We're all collectors.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just nice to.
Tony, have you had be light. You can answer this lightly. Has your wife gotten pissed at you at all with collecting at all, or?
I think when I was collecting Hot Toys.
Yeah, when they were coming in at
it was a delivery sort of like every. It's like,
you got to hide that shit.
Yeah, you have. I mean, there's no there's no getting around.
There's no getting. You have to.
Yeah.
I hear you.
And then so she doesn't like Star Wars at all.
What?
Not at all.
That's funny. That's funny.
But she does walk in the room and she says, "Yeah, okay, I can see what you do." She says, "Not for me. And if any of this comes out of this room, I'll divorce you." But
that's it. Yeah, that's funny.
There is I mean, so I've had a couple of friends in here that aren't Star Wars fans. And they've sort of questioned me a little bit, and then gone, but they've looked at sort of like some of the models and that, and they've go, wow, they do look really.
It's impressive.
They do look really, so
it really is.
But yeah, the big thing for me with the collecting has always been the social side, sort of seeing other people's collections as well. I get inspired a lot by you guys, and then all the collections I see on the Facebook groups, not just the hyperdrive, that the community.
Of course.
It's very difficult to not get sucked into it, but I think if you're collecting, I think just take your time, collect what you enjoy. Don't listen to us. Just collect what you enjoy. And
well, like you said before, Tony, what people need to appreciate and understand is that there's a lot of time put into all these collections, and that's a lot. Like Rob, I think you mentioned this early on. I don't think people really take that into consideration. They just want what other people have, like a lot of the stuff that other people have. And it's like, guys, it's taken quite a while and a lot of patience and a lot of like time and money to get to that place. And it's going to take anybody that kind of time and money. So you just got to take your time, right? Just be slow.
I mean, yes, there's lots of people that have been collecting a lot longer than I have for years. And I've got some great advice off people as well. There's some really great people in the community that you can talk to and just get advice on, if you're interested in a model or a helmet or whatever it is, and there's a lot of great collectors out there, and you can reach out to them. They're all fantastic.
Yeah.
Various helplines. Samaritans. Mind.
Hey Rob, what about you? What about you?
What about me?
What about you? So your collecting habits over the years, have they changed at all? Or I mean, you started getting into hot toys, right? I mean,
I don't think it's changed that much.
No.
I've always had the same kind of interest.
Yeah.
Which is not just Star Wars.
Right, variety.
And I struggle with displaying it.
Like just the variety of what you're wanting to display? Yeah.
Yeah, because you kind of starting to look like an antique shop.
What are the different things you're displaying at the moment? Like what are the?
It's like 80s.
Yeah,
kind
sure.
of sci-fi,
like Back to the Future,
comic stuff. Not so much Back to the Future actually.
No. What are you, E.T.? A little E.T., right?
Little,
Did you get rid of the bike?
A little E.T. It's out of the room.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So currently I'm moving back into this room, but now I've got a load of limitations, and that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah, sure.
Because beforehand, it was a free rein, and I'm like, geez, I could get that and put that there and and put that there.
Right.
Whereas now I'm really limited because my son wanted a pool table.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of limiting what I can do in here.
Sure.
With the space, which is a good thing. So I'm working around that and then trying to make it work. But I like the things that I like.
Well, that is interesting. And that
Cece saw some of the stuff and she was like, "I don't even know what this shit is."
I got a quick question for Rob.
In that.
Rob, behind you, are they Eagle models behind you from Space 90? Who did those? Are they? Is that Eagle Moss or?
No, they were MPC.
Oh, okay.
Is that
yeah.
22-inch ones, and they were built and painted by the Milkman. So the Milkman, he was a guy that used to come in the studio a few years ago. I think he got a divorce and then we didn't see him anymore. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully he's, still alive. I guess. And he's just moved to a different part of the country or something where it doesn't rain all the time, perhaps. But yeah, he made them, which saved me the trouble of doing it. But I did make one or two bits and pieces.
It's interesting when you talk about, Rob, about limitations of space, and Tony and Parminder, you might be able to agree with this because I do. Because my CC, you and Jason have been in my room. It's very small, and so. But that does make you have to be a little more creative and a little more like selective and just try to be very careful. And I think that can be a very valuable thing as well. Yes. Like you said, Tony, like I had the Chewie, the Regal Robot Chewie. I even had some bigger busts from RS Prop Masters. And the problem is every time you came in, that's the only thing you saw.
Yeah.
Like that's it. There's nothing else in the room because those things were just like popping out at you. And it's like, man, that's just not what I want.
Yeah, that must have been a really difficult choice, Matt. Getting rid of that Chewie.
It was. Yeah.
I won't have much sound, but I can give you a quick. At some point, when it's finished, I'll give you a proper look round. But
yeah.
I'll give you a quick. Most
that's cool.
Most of the Star Wars stuff is not here.
They're Black Series helmets.
Yeah.
One is.
One of them is, yeah.
That's awesome.
Look at the clone helmet.
Yeah, I thought that was actually.
That's cool.
That's my son's.
That room is
This
huge,
is-
Rob.
Yeah, I know. Lucky
Well,
bastard.
it's too small for a pool table, I'll tell you that.
It's a nice pool table.
Yeah, get some small cues.
But so
You got a collector case.
I got
Oh, nice.
my boy's
Cool.
into BMX, so that's here. So this is the
That's
Oh,
cool.
yeah, they're the
The
Hulk
whole
statues.
tribute
D&D.
thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got
The
Batmobile.
Hulk watched me sleep.
Oh, is that Jazz Inc? Rob?
Yeah,
That looks
that's
great.
basically because of you and
Yeah.
Chris and Steve. and-
It looks
Yeah.
great.
That's
yeah,
brilliant.
I was telling Cece I bought the Robin really cheap, and then everything else was really not cheap.
Yeah, the Robin's like, yeah, take it.
Oh wow, you got the collector case. That's
cool.
great.
Tony, I think I've done the full set of these figures about twice and was never happy with them. And then
You're going again, are you?
I kind of started on the backed ones and realised that's never going to happen. That's
Yeah, no
CC's trash there.
It is.
Not got rid of it yet. But the case really works.
That
I
looks
like
great. Is
like
that
the
is
case.
that is that lit as well, Rob? Can you light that one?
You can do, yeah. You
Yeah.
can see the plug hanging down.
Oh,
'cause
okay, yeah.
It's really unfinished.
He doesn't want to light it.
I don't know if it's in the right place because blocking my queuing
looks
action a
good.
bit.
It looks
so
cool. I
Yeah,
like
it
might
it.
have to
looks
move
Trying to rebuild the vintage collection, I gotta say, for me at least, was an
Possible, dude.
OCD nightmare. Like you would get like a Luke Stormtrooper, and the limbs would be slightly yellowed, or it just drove me bonkers.
I'm just going to be commentator style here. Hang on a sec.
Yeah, it's really difficult, Jay. I think
They're
collecting
rich.
knows.
Yeah, especially more recent as
You
things
see-
start
you
to
see
grade a
this
little bit
stuff.
more.
Yeah.
Is that the Spaceballs chick? The robot?
No, that's Buck
What is
Rogers,
that?
man.
Tweaky.
Oh, that's right.
Tweaky.
How dare you, Matt? How
That's
dare you?
right.
Oh, he's got the gaffy. Oh, is that Blake 7, Rob?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
The good
That's
See,
stuff.
that's the stuff I didn't know.
Cece was like, "What the hell is that? What is this big yellow bell
Did
end?
anybody
What is
did
that?"
anybody see
Ages.
the Jazz Inc. Space Odyssey piece he's doing?
No.
Oh, look at the
Nice.
Deckard blaster! I love that.
That's so cool.
Oh, you got
This-
the Cylon Raider as well.
Yeah,
Battlestar?
that might be screen used.
Might
Oh.
be.
Wow.
I was
Look
gonna
at
say that
Cylon.
looks pretty legit.
EFX. I'm not a snob.
Wow.
I'll say this was a print from that show.
That's cool.
those eagles are fantastic. I absolutely love them. They are fantastic.
Rob, which version of the Blade Runner blaster was that?
It's the Japanese one.
Yeah, don't ask me the name. Toma something.
Was it? Yeah, but was it one of the kits? One of the more recents? I know there's a bunch. I know there's a handful of
Tamagotchi?
them.
Tomasuki, I think. Is that how it's pronounced, Jason? You probably
You're
know.
not far off, actually.
No, it's the metal one that came as a built thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait a second. It does.
Ooh, LEDs.
Also has lights in it too.
Yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
Yeah,
and,
it looks like some stuff.
yeah, and it does. If I can remember how to do it.
All right, how did you get this into your into
you
the
go.
country? You allow that there?
Where is it?
That's crazy. That's awesome.
I gotta say that's one of the. It's underrated for people who aren't Blade Runner fans, but that's gonna be one of the best props.
Yeah, that looks great.
Love it.
Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
I actually picked up a pretty nasty the Sid Mead, the concept sketch design one.
Oh yeah, the book.
Somebody was making them on the RPF. I forget who. Either
Oh,
somebody
right.
made a run or something, but yeah, I was able to get one for a decent price, and it's amazing.
I think the bottle is one of my favourite things. That was from an RPF run.
Oh, the Johnny Walker, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
With the glasses, yeah, I like that.
The lid's kind of welded itself.
I like those
shut
shelves.
though, so.
I like those shelves too, Rob. Those are nice.
Oh, do you want to know about my shelves? These are really cool.
Go ahead and tell me.
Yeah, the shelves are. So I was going to go with these shelves, these kind of wood.
Yeah.
Black MDF stuff, and didn't get round to ordering them. But I had all my shit in the detoffs, and I had to move the detoffs. So there you can see what's left of my detoffs.
Oh, that's funny. So you just use the
Oh,
detox
right.
glass?
With everything piled on them for now.
That's not a bad idea, man.
That's a great idea.
Can I just real quick? I don't want to be rude. Can I just interrupt real quick? And I'm just gonna do this because it's almost a desperate situation. If there's anybody located close to Massachusetts, no, for real. If there's anybody located close to Massachusetts that needs details, please contact me. You can take them for free. They're mints. I have a ton of them. Just if you're within like an hour drive, DM me, PM me, and they're yours.
Yeah, he's trying to get rid of his detox, guys.
Yeah, it's imperative.
It's imperative. That means his wife wants him out of his house.
But, Matt,
That's a great idea, Rob. That's a fantastic idea.
I'm just going to show you this because I know you'll appreciate it.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, don't.
Oh,
yes.
I almost forgot.
Please
Oh,
and thank you.
Oh, yes.
What a great place for that, dude.
The
It's
centerpiece.
like proud and center. Look how shitty that thing is. Cece, did you see that thing in person?
I did. It's even worse.
Is it?
It's a thing of nightmares.
Is it that bad?
It's awful.
It's that bad. Oh man, that makes me so happy.
But it makes me happy seeing it because like the camaraderie that's been built around that shitty thing.
Yeah. I still need to pick one up myself because I freaking love how bad that thing is.
You guys have probably driven the sales up on that completely. I mean, it's they Gentle Giant are just banging out.
Holy
busts,
shit, dude!
You know,
they had some in San Diego that you could buy in person at the booth.
I know. I thought about it too. They're not cheap though. Like it's as shitty as it is. It's not cheap. Like it's crazy.
Well,
maybe they'll have a Black Friday sale.
It's cheap looking.
Yeah, it's great. It's.
Cheap
I mean,
looking.
thank goodness. It's what a fantastic
great collection, Rob.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's all 80s stuff.
Looks
Even
great.
even the stereos, 80s.
Yeah, that's cool though.
We've got, you can't really see it, but there's Highlander sword and
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got.
That is a huge room.
That's home defense right there.
It doesn't display well together really.
No, I like it though. I think it looks great. Parminder, how about you? How have things changed for you? Anything different, new?
I mean, I've tried to remain focused to OT for a fairly reasonably long time. I did have a bunch of prequel hot toys which I managed to sell over the past 3 months.
Yeah.
They actually sold pretty easily, and they sold at a reasonable price as well. Certainly above what I paid.
Nobody likes.
Don't rub it in. Don't rub it in for Tony.
Well, no, there's still a demand for prequel figures, I think, but I certainly did struggle with some others. I had a Rogue One for Shore Trooper, which was at one point that was the only Shore Trooper that was released, and that was a Grail, right? And you could have sold that for £500-600. I struggled to sell that at anything above 200. I actually just literally sold it for £200 now. It
Crazy.
That was on sale on eBay for about a year. But everything else I put on in the meantime.
Tony, Parminder's finding the people that are interested in your eBay offerings, and he's hitting them up on the side.
I'm undercutting Tony's prices.
I know.
He's like, I'll offer free shipping.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So that was the last of my non-OT stuff that went today. Actually, I posted that out today. So everything that's in the collection now is OT. But I think the trend really
You should
in
get that
collecting.
Monday, Tony.
Sorry.
You should.
Yeah.
Monday.
Thanks for your quick payment.
Thanks, Tony.
I'll give you a 5-star review.
No worries. Thanks, mate.
But I think just generally the trend in collecting has been, going back a few years, it would be predominantly hot toys and the occasional high-end piece, right? You'd say, okay, I'd spend a couple of grand, and that would seem like a lot, right?
But this is Parminder. This is what Tony
things
was
have
saying.
changed now, right?
This is what Tony was saying before, but he didn't realize he said it because he was talking about the Chewy head, and he said that was expensive, and what he meant was I wasn't down the rabbit hole far enough yet, but now I am.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So then when you start accumulating those kind of pieces, then suddenly it switches, and it's like they're the kind of pieces you want, but then they're really hard to afford if you're going to get a lot of them. So you just naturally you slow down. But the other thing is, after a while, those prices start to get a little bit normalized, which is really bad. You don't get the sticker shock anymore.
I know.
And I'll just give you an example, just as a collector as well. Our family car broke down, and we were presented with a bill of £2,000 to repair it, and my jaw dropped to the floor.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, Regal Robot released a maquette for $1,700, and I'm like, here, take my money.
Matt, we've had that conversation, right?
It's really, really bad. It's really bad, and I feel incredibly irresponsible.
Yeah, you look at something, you're like, $100 for the sweater? Are you crazy? Yeah. And you're like, $150 for this figure. Okay, I'll buy two.
Your mind is very skewed. Out. Yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad, and it's something that you do have to recognize, I think, and kind of, rein in at times, right? Because you
can always find a way to justify it.
You can. Of course you will, because you're an addict, right? So you'll find a way to say, I need that, and thankfully, a lot of the stuff that we get tends to either retain its value or go up in value. So, it's not like gambling, and it's not like being a drug addict. And that's one way to kind of, exactly.
That's it. Justify it.
That's the justification that you apply to kind of make sure that you don't miss out on something.
That's just the difference between a savvy collector and a collector.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think the collectors, they're the ones who maybe burn themselves out because they just buy so much, maybe without a bit of research, and then it doesn't hold its value.
Sure.
And then you can recycle it in your collection.
Absolutely. And we're talking about space. I have pretty much run out of space, and now it is very much I need to sell stuff to make space, but also to fund other things. But you get to a point where everything in your collection you really like
is valuable.
And then it becomes not just the value.
No, valuable to you. Valuable to you.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. And then it becomes more and more difficult.
I agree.
To sell stuff, and I keep thinking about selling all my hot toys. I mean, I've got just the OT ones left, and I know that would generate a reasonable amount to then put towards other stuff. But when I still really enjoy looking at them, and I still get a kick out looking at them. I had a collector come over a few weeks ago actually to pick up a statue I sold him, and he loved the collection room. But I mean, there's also it's all lineage pieces and stuff. But he was drawn to the hot toys. He thought they looked fantastic.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm running out of space, and it's becoming harder and harder to afford some of the really high-end pieces, even though that's where you kind of want to go.
Yeah. Question: do you guys with limited, us with limited space, do you guys ever move pieces around at all? Do you ever shift things, or is it always kind of where it's at?
Very rarely.
Forever moving.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the same for me. Yeah, I will say I move things when I get a new piece in, and I go, okay, I want this thing here, but this thing's here, so I got to figure out how to move these things around to get this in this place. So that's usually when things are moved around. But like other than that, it's not.
I hate moving things because they invariably break when you move.
I know.
Parminder's not moving his because he's got it sussed, he's got it all organized, and he's got it displayed properly, and he's happy with it. Whereas I can never get happy with it, and I think a lot of that is to do with how stuff doesn't go together because it's all different movies and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, collecting different franchises is difficult. Yeah, I think to display them seamlessly is kind of because you've got to almost give each franchise its own section. Mixing it all up is hard. I think it's really difficult, and that's where I found even having a mix of some prequel stuff amongst predominant OT stuff, it just felt out of place. I mean, I had a Mando helmet, for example, and you know, it just fell out. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that I feel like Steve does so well.
Well, that's because that was Star Wars and non-Star Wars, though.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like Steve does this really well, where he actually displays certain things,
group stuff.
Groups
really
things
nicely.
together really well, and it just
definitely
looks great.
Do you know why though?
But he's got a room the size of a palace.
Because his collection room is
massive.
the square footage of my entire house.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's true. That's true.
You can do it. You can make that
but
work.
It is funny though, because I've been running out of room for 4 years. So you do find it's amazing how even with small space you can find different ways of manipulating your space to try and make stuff fit.
Yep.
But I think there is a balance between it fitting and then where it becomes, cluttered, and that's the problem I've got really with mine, is that there are things sort of covering other pieces and stuff, and that's why I stuck with DTOF cabinets, because you can see right through them, and that gives the illusion you can see things from the side.
Yeah,
DTOF cabinets are not the greatest, and they're cheap, but they actually, for my space, they actually work really well.
Yeah.
But
that's why I like the open shelf. For me, the open shelving works really well. It doesn't feel like things are too, closed down.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Jason, how about you? Anything you want to say about like any of your habits that have changed?
Yeah, actually, my habits have changed significantly. Now, everybody here in this group knows how discreet I am about my collecting and my collection. But I would say that during COVID, when we started this up and we kind of got into this pretty heavy and we were doing it on the regular, I definitely got bit by like the FOMO and the hype bug on both ends. And I think a contributing factor was boredom, right? But also being part of the show, doing the show so consistently.
That's when you just got on the show, right? Or you just got in the
I just got on the show, and because before that, I kind of slowed down. What I had done was I'd been collecting for a good 20 years. I started off just like most with vintage figures, and then got into a few other things, and I was doing the statues and whatnot for a little bit. And then things started to die down, and I started with Hot Toys around 2015-ish, I'd want to say, right around when The Force Awakens came out. And I liked them, and I had a couple, and then when Rogue One came out, that actually kickstarted my Hot Toy obsession or collecting. I had seen the Shore Trooper, and had to have it. Like, okay, so where I benefited was I wasn't collecting multiple IPs where everybody was trying to get like Marvel and everybody was trying to get, because Marvel was big at the time too. I collected strictly just Star Wars, and they weren't producing a lot of Star Wars figures back then. So I'd get whatever would come out. And then I jumped on with you guys, and I had a few RS things and a few specific pieces here and there, because that was one of the things that got me on the show. Was I'd be like, hey guys, check this out, check that out. That was just from having the experience of learning and being into found parts. And I always liked the learning aspect of collecting, like looking at something that I've collected and being like, okay, what's special about this piece? Why is it unique?
Right.
One, I'm drawn to it aesthetically, but what else goes into it? But there isn't necessarily always a part of collecting to that, because that's more of like a hunt, which I enjoyed just as much. And I put a little bit of that on the back burner. And I'd done a lot of things early on that are now like in full swing, like the found parts Obi-Wan, the MPPs, which you can't even touch them now. I mean, these things are tens of thousands of dollars.
It's true.
10 years ago, you could get them for a fraction of the price, literally. And they were a little bit more easier to access because you didn't have so much competition. So during the show, I just kind of went ham and bought everything. I bought everything. I wasn't discerning between one thing or the other.
Right.
I was buying a copious amounts of prints. I was buying Hot Toys. I was buying statues. And I'm not a statue collector by any means. As you know, Matt, personally,
I know.
I pretty much wiped out all my statues. Most of them I didn't even open. They would come in. I would maybe check for QC issues, and then I would basically just give them away for half of what I paid for just to get them out of the way. And I
or put them in your storage.
or put them in my storage. I did that. I got a couple, larger scale pieces. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do life size stuff, and I kind of, and this isn't like a disrespect.
Crazy.
No, really. I don't mean this like disrespectfully, but I kind of got to like where Mike Costa was. Where it was like, I'm gonna do this scale, then I'm gonna do that scale, then and you get kind of like stuck. Like, oh, I'm gonna do life size now, or I'm gonna do this, and I was in that rut for a little bit, and I started finding myself like I'm buying nonsense. Like someone would offer me something and be like, oh, by the way, I have this and this. Oh, it's a great deal. Let me buy it. And it's just like, well, I only want. It's like buying a CD for that one song. You're not gonna listen to the other 13 songs, right? I was buying 5 or 6 pieces for that one piece only because it was a good deal, and I'm like, this is absurd. This is nonsense. And I ended up creating quite a situation because I had to spend the last year and a half getting rid of a lot of that stuff that I had no desire to keep. So
that sucks, dude. Getting rid of stuff is so annoying.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It really is.
Boxing stuff up again, or just shipping stuff.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
The worst and then dealing with shipping and especially like if it's overseas and statues, things that are fragile.
God. Yeah.
But one thing that I think changed the most was as we started doing this and as we started becoming more proactive. Tony, you mentioned this when some of your output as well was like some of the relationships and the rapport that you built. And I had a few prior to coming into the group and to the podcast, but those relationships grew or other ones formed, and I started getting back into the things that I really had a passion for, which was like finding original parts, kind of going back down to like the path of like building hilts or, helmets, costume parts, things like that. And then, I don't troop or anything like that. And I got nothing against it. It's just not my thing, but I do enjoy, the figuring out, the finding those pieces, building those pieces up. And I'd say the last year and a half has been spent primarily building versus collecting. So, I mean, they're still collecting, right? Like if you're building a model, you have to get the kits and search them out on eBay or wherever they're available. So I do that kind of buying. But for the most part, other than like a Regal Robot drop or, something that really, really catches my eye that I'm really in love with, I kind of just stick to I'd say like 75% building. It's mainly models and things like hilts or blasters or anything in the found parts universe. And then, things like RS, if it's helmet related or costume related. And that's pretty much where I am now. And I got to say, I'm more content and happier now than I was during that whole time, like that 2-3 year span of just buying up everything, because I'll be honest, I was getting overwhelmed, like mentally and emotionally, if that makes sense. If anybody can relate to that, it was becoming like I was getting too overzealous because there are so many things that look great aesthetically, right? So the FOMO can really get you because you're like, oh, that looks great, but do you really need it?
Yeah.
And that was one of those things where I was just like, look at all this stuff. It's like so much of the stuff has no sentimental value to me. It has no aesthetic value to me. There's no connection. I wasn't getting that like looking at my collection and smiling type situation. I just found myself being buried in boxes and packages. And then it got to a point where like you're pre-ordering so much stuff that like a year later, 2 years later, boxes are coming in, and you're like, what's this? What did I buy? And I couldn't keep track of things. And so, I kind of broke that all down. I broke that wall down, got rid of a ton of stuff. I'd say, I can't believe the amount of stuff that I was able to rid myself of. And now it's limited to just a handful of really key pieces, pieces that are really special to me at least, pieces that I find to be unique. And that doesn't always mean, expensive or rare, because there's some pieces that, are simple and or may only be $50 or $100, but to me, they mean something. But I've definitely narrowed my collection down from my collection was taking up 3 parts of where we live. And it was getting to the point where like it kind of worked its way into like our everyday decor. Like there was just pieces like in the master bedroom. There were pieces like in the living room. Not haphazardly. They were placed nicely, but there were just pieces everywhere. And it didn't really make sense. So now I was able to consolidate almost everything to a specific area and get back to how I originally would display things by like getting a unique piece, getting a pedestal made, getting proper lighting, and putting a focal point on that particular piece, giving it room to breathe and showcasing it and enjoying it for what it is, rather than just having pieces all over the place that I'm like stumbling over or tripping over. So yeah, I mean, aside from that rant, I think now, I'm pretty happy.
Jason, it's interesting because like, it doesn't matter what you collect. Everyone deals with the same thing, right? Like Cece collects prints, but she has a limited amount of wall space. Like she can only put so much up on her walls before it's crazy, right? And so yeah, everyone has that same situation. Are you just going to keep things in your storage bin, your storage, or like in prints and tubes, or like what are you going to do, right? Like how do you make that work, right? It's
I actually think prints is probably more dangerous because you can get portfolios, can't you?
You get a file, yeah,
and you could really, you could
stack them up.
Yeah, you could just stack them up, can't you? And it is, yeah, that's.
Well, the only saving grace I have is I don't have a husband who will murder me.
That's true.
That's
true.
At one point, when we had the flooding, we had to go through our storage unit shortly after, and I was just looking at them like, the problem is I didn't remember at least 30% of what was in there.
Yeah, it's bad.
And then that right there presented a problem. I'm like, if I didn't remember buying this stuff or remember having it, I mean, I did. Once I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. Or, oh yeah, I remember getting that. But it just goes to show how much you get caught up in like the things that you're talking about, or everybody's getting this piece, or oh my god, this piece is going to sell out, and you get trapped in that. It's hard not to, right? It's that sort of addictive aspect of collecting.
But particularly if you're collecting a line of something like you said, the Regal Robot maquettes, you almost feel kind of compelled to complete the set or get the next one. You don't want to miss out on on that particular one. So
yeah, I mean, and
same with Hot Toys.
Even if you generally want to complete the line, Parminder, sometimes it may not be the right time. It may not be the right time financially, or like you said, it could be space. A limitation of space. It could be anything, but you still have that mindset where you justify it, rationalize it. And it's funny what you brought up, like that $2,000 card bill, or £2,000 rather. That's almost $3,000 in the US. Where you're like, oh my goodness, your jaw hits the floor, but then you see a $3,000 Regal Robot piece, and you're like, oh yeah, sign me up. Where can I buy this?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because your mentality becomes so skewed. And I started realizing too, and Matt was a big advocate for this, and I think had helped me kind of see the light, where he would always say to people, hey, for all those saying that like I can't afford this piece, I can't afford that piece, but you have 35 Hot Toys. Tony is a perfect example. I sold 18 Hot Toys to buy this one, significant piece, and you can do that. And I started to realize, like,
you hear it all the time, Jason. Like people crying about pricing, about Regal Robot prices or whatever, and it's like, look, I get it, it's expensive, but like you have a collection that can fund other things.
You have to make that choice.
It's a priority. It's a priority issue, right?
Yeah, you have to make that choice. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, those Prequel Hot Toys I sold essentially paid for my Tuscan bust.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
And that's the thing. So I realized, like, I had a lot of, from collecting early on, I had a lot of EFX and master replica pieces, primarily master replicas. And there is no doubt, they look beautiful. They're museum ready. They look amazing on any display. They get the acrylic. I mean, everybody knows what they look like. So aesthetically, they're very, very appealing, and they showcase so well. But for a while, they were holding a lot of value. So I went through at one point, I just said to myself, like, wow, there's so many production pieces that are available. Prop Store has so many great auctions with somewhat affordable pieces. And I'm like, I can just rid of all these master replica things. And half the hilts I had in real form anyways. I had a real Graphics, I had a real Fulmer, I had a real whatever it may have been. So I'm like, why am I holding on to these when I pretty much have doubles? So I sold most of those and picked up some pretty decent pieces. And, a few people that I do share my collection with had kind of given me the comments of like, wow, your collection has shrunk so much, or like, oh my God, you hardly have anything now. And I'm like, well, me, I've always been an advocate for quality over quantity, and advocating for curating a collection rather than like amassing a collection. Yeah. And I think that's important. It's hard to do, because as collectors, all of us are guilty of it. It gets away from us and we get caught up in it. But
for sure,
I was able to sort of dial it back the best I could and discipline myself to say, hey, these are the pieces that I genuinely love. These are the pieces that get me excited. These are the pieces I'm going to stick to. And I don't need 4 versions of this or 3 versions of that, or this piece here, or just because this piece is going to sell out, or this is an exclusive, I don't necessarily need it. So yeah, my collection has changed significantly, and it's
Jason,
definitely dwindled down.
And Jason, to be fair, like if it's out of sight, out of mind, and you don't give a shit, then what's who cares? Like, right? Like why keep it?
That was
a great thing to do is box something up and see if you miss it. Right. If you don't miss it, sell it.
It's true.
I mean, that
was the thing. So many things were getting boxed. Yeah, so many things were getting boxed up and put away anyways. And like I said, like I mentioned early on, there were things where I found myself losing that, looking at my collection and smiling. It was just more like, wow, look at all the cool stuff I have. And like to an outsider or to a visitor, you do get that like awe, that shock and awe or wow factor, which is fun because it's a conversation starter. But I personally wasn't getting that. And now that I have my few pieces on display, I do get that. Like I look and I get the tingles and I get the feels and I'm like, wow, like I love this. And I'll go and something I've looked at 50 times or 100 times or see it every day. I'll still go and inspect it and sometimes pick it up and hold it and touch it or whatever. And I'm back to that feeling of like connecting with my pieces again. And I'm enjoying it more now than I have in a long time.
I think one of the things as well is being happy with your collection as well, because I've had this conversation with Palm a few times where I've said I'm not happy with my collection, and I should be, but I'm seeing it every single day, and there are things, the lack of space has always been an issue for me, or something's not displayed right, or I've missed out on something, or it's very. It can sort of sit on your mind quite a lot, and it's.
Well, Tony, I'll say this too. The way you display a collection, or how organized or whatever, just the way it looks, it's to me that's a big deal, because I don't want to be seen. I don't want to appear as a hoarder when people come into my office, or what into that room. I don't want people to look at my situation and go, geez, like that guy's got something wrong with his head, right? Like I generally just want it to be something that looks very nice and is very well, it's just not, like I want it to look good. And so I think that's a big deal too, is like if you've got so much shit that people are coming in and being like, hey, brother, like we need to sit down on the couch and have a conversation, right? Like that's not good. You want, you don't want that stuff to start looking like you're hoarding stuff, right? So But that's what we're all dealing with. We're all trying to figure out what's that right balance of the things we should keep and the things we should give up. And it's tough, man. It's tough.
Because it's such a fact, because it is.
When pieces,
I mean, these are first world problems, aren't they?
But of course.
The community and the collecting aspect of it and the camaraderie and stuff. It's just such a, it really is, a fantastic community, but it can. The collecting side of it is something that can get really dangerously out of control really quickly. I mean, I am. The pieces that I'm probably collecting now are more expensive, but I'm collecting a lot less of them because I've put things in my way. Like I'm only collecting original trilogy. The big one is, do I have an emotional connection to this piece? And a lot of that will go back to my childhood.
Yeah.
That's the big one for me, and that stopped me from getting a lot of stuff.
But Tony, when we first started back into this, when we started in and did all this, started with the group and started talking about stuff, I remember hearing about people that said the exact same thing you're saying, where they had a super like small focus and they're just collecting these things. They would only get a couple pieces a year. And I remember thinking to myself, like, that's crazy. Like how could I ever do that? And how could I ever that would be ridiculous. But now I get it. Now I understand that. And it took a long time to realize that that's where I want to be. Right.
And I think patience. I think the other thing as well is, and it's really, and this is the other thing is really difficult with a lot of collectors. I mean, I've suffered with it when I started collecting, is having patience, because, and I think actually Rob said it on a few streams ago. You'll buy upgrading pieces, so you'll buy like a Black Series helmet and then move on to something else, and you can spend an awful lot of money getting just to that, when you could just say, I'm waiting. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait this out. I'm going to wait for so and so to build this or make this, but I might have to wait 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
That as a kid was like waiting between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It was a lifetime.
And think about but think about how your collection changes in 2 years, right? Like that's the crazy thing about some of these pre-orders, some of these things that happen where it's like it takes forever to get something, and that is what it is. But your collection could also shift and change a lot.
Yours. I mean, we I've witnessed your collection change.
It's crazy.
When you what was it, 4 years ago?
Sure.
So it was all Hot Toys, all Star Wars Hot Toys, and then it just transitioned into statues, and then basically into props. Yeah. And then the Hot Toys just went, and then and now you've restricted yourself.
Very much.
Very much so. But you've been, and that's the challenge. That's it
is. Well, and it's also part of that is just like you said, I think Parminder, you mentioned this, how like boxing, you find out that boxing up a statue and sending it out is really annoying. So then you start to look at it and go, maybe I shouldn't get so many statues that might end up going out the door at some point. Like that's crazy. Right. Sure. I mean, it's been the same CC with prints. I don't know how to sell prints or want to deal with like selling prints. And so I've tried to pull myself back from buying as many prints, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with them all. I don't have enough space for them. And I'm probably not going to sell them. Like, I don't know what to do. And so it's made me pull back a lot on that, which is, I think, probably helpful.
Hey, Matt, whatever happened to the slabbed comics?
I have them.
I remember there was a bit of a thing going around with that.
I still get them too. I just haven't gotten as many of those either. I love slab comics. I'm a huge fan of slab comics, but that again, you have to be very careful with, because they can be extremely
multiple rabbit holes.
There's so many rabbit holes. It's crazy, but it all looks great. And you can collect all bunch of different things, especially within the Star Wars banner, under the Star Wars banner, and it looks good together. Like, it feels good together, looks good together, but man, you can get yourself in trouble, like,
sure.
And, now everybody's doing, and Jason, now everyone's doing payment plans, right?
Which makes it, makes it easier to rationalize it, justify it, to say, well, what's $100 a month versus 3,000 down?
Enable is a word.
But what happens is you suddenly get to a point where you have 2 or 3 payment plans that are overlapping. And then you're thinking, how have I got to this?
Exactly.
Because that's suddenly like a lot of money.
Now you're paying like $400 a month. And
but if you think about it, now here's one thing. It's funny they mentioned the payment plans. One of the things I took into consideration was, I remember this was about a year and a half ago, with Prop Store. I was like, hey, you guys take payments, right? I mean, some of these things are serious cash. And we can split this up over. They try to tell you it's going to be, you have like 30 days or whatever, but they'll say, we'll give you 45 days, we'll give you 60 days, and it's like, well, if I can do that on a mass-produced piece, why can't I do it on a production piece that there's only 1 or 2 of? You know what I mean? Right. And that was the other thing that, like, I was relating to Tony, which was like, well, if I can sell 10 master replica hilts and get $12,000, I could put that towards, a production A-wing or B-wing or something like that. You know what I mean? And the collection's smaller. And that did hit me from time to time, where I'm like, I would look at things like, you look at Steve or Chris, whatever, all these things. And I'm like, oh man, I used to have all this stuff and hundreds of pieces. And now I only get a handful. But then it's like, but I really love these handful of pieces. And they actually make me smile. And like you said, Tony, I was getting to a point where I just didn't look at my collection and smile anymore. It was just like, okay, cool. I have all this stuff. Like, it just became stuff. It wasn't a collection anymore. But now I definitely feel like I'm back there, and I'm back into like the learning process. But yeah, man, guys, it's so easy for it to get away from you, or like to play catch up. And I gotta say, and I love the hyperdrive. It's amazing what you guys do, but it is as far as like, if you're a new collector. If you are a new collector coming into the hyperdrive, I feel so bad for you, because that show and tell is like, I need to catch up and get this and get that. And what people don't realize is they're trying to buy like EFX TIE Fighters and Regal Robot Rancors. And it's like, dude, it even if you have the money, it's not even accessible anymore. Like, just give up. Like, because that mindset will drive you bananas.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and like he's saying, Tony, like the hyperdrive is so like show and tell. And that's a great thing. Like it really had, you have a lot to look at when you go to the hyperdrive group. It's like constant, right? But it's also a very much like, wow, like look at all of these.
Where do
like,
I start? Where do I go?
Yeah.
And it's like a kid in a candy store.
It is, yeah. I mean, I look at it sort of differently now. I didn't when I first joined, which was like, oh my god, you know, I want everything, you know, that these people have got. But I get inspired by looking at other people's collections. You know, I can live vicariously now through other people's collections,
which is how you should look at it.
Well, that's how it should be. That's why I said if you're a new collector, I go back to
it's different. It's very difficult because these, you know, everybody, most of the guys that have got these collections have been in the community for a lot longer than than we have. You know, they've been on the RPF for years, and they've built collections up over decades,
10, 20 years, and when things were much cheaper, much more accessible.
Yeah,
I'm even noticing the spaceport has just as many looking to buy posts as it does sales posts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
That goes to show.
Well, actually, we redirect those from the hyperdrive main.
From the hyperdrive
as well.
But it goes to show,
there
right?
is a lot of those.
That's cool though. Yeah, and there's a lot. I mean, not to mention if you are a new collector and you're coming in, I mean, Christian's got to be like your godsend of like, you know what I mean? He's putting something out like constantly, right? I mean, that's and they're really good, good stuff too.
Yeah, I think next year is gonna be different. I think it's gonna be a slowdown. I think there's a realization. There's just there's just too many.
Well, it's a lot of work on his side of things too.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got to deal with all that.
To be fair though, there's thousands of members in that group.
There is, yeah.
And these things are only,
you're right,
usually small runs, so not everyone's buying everything.
Yeah,
that's true. But Christian's still managing all of those.
It's still it's like a second job.
I think that's difficult. I think it's difficult.
Yeah, I used to say to these guys when we were like hot off the press, and there weren't a bunch of other shows to watch. I mean, you guys remember those days, and we had guest after guest and show up the show. I used to say, like, this is literally like a second full-time job. It was exhausting. It was draining. I was spending just as much time juggling guests and time slots and hashing things up with Matt, or whether it be Steve or Chris, whatever was going on at any given time. It was exhausting. So I can't imagine, even if you're doing a run of 10 or something, you have to make sure, from QC to time frames to collecting funds to just it does get exhausting. And even if you have people helping, I think people take for granted how much actually goes into doing something.
Well, Cece just did that. You did that print run.
Yeah.
And I mean,
still looking at orders
exactly. It's still it's massive. It's crazy.
I mean, what he's been able to do over the last few years is just been, I mean, me and Parminder, we've said to him, like, if we can help you, we will. But I'm not really connected. I mean, he's juggling so many plates, but fortunately, we've got a couple more admins in now that are able to pick up a lot more of the sort of social media stuff and give Christian a bit of a break. But the passion is still, I mean, the what goes on behind the scenes in our chats and stuff is still what it was when the group started. And for me, it's very important just to have fun and that the group be open. And he really did sell it to me a few years ago, just before the lockdown. Said, look, I really want to try and do something for the community. And I think he is. I really do think he is. And I think we're,
of course,
we're still a small group. We're still a very, very small group. But the thing for me is it's still fun. Yeah, it really is still fun. And we're getting a lot more. It's just great to see, some of the, the big collectors that are out there that are engaging with the group, and they're really helpful as well. I've got to say that. The Facebook and social media and some of the Facebook groups get sort of knocked a bit, but for me, it's been a fantastic experience. I mean, you guys were lifesavers in lockdown. You were on every single day.
Yeah.
Streaming every single day.
Lockdown
was. But for me, it really helped.
It was necessary.
Yeah.
It was a necessary thing. It was necessary for all of us. Like I think that helped a lot of people and a lot of us through that time. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, I think I love that.
I miss lockdown.
Miss that time away.
Nah,
that was crazy,
no
wasn't it?
No traffic.
No traffic.
Beautiful.
You're right. You're right.
But I think that really injected a lot of people into sort of going crazy with the collecting, didn't it? I mean, it was
people were saving money, right? They weren't commuting, they weren't spending a lot of money on going out, so they still
and it created a lot of these groups and a lot of these new, you know, collectors. It's great. It's really awesome. So it's been cool. But I think
miss it.
I think that's where we're going to end it, guys. I want to say, Tony, Parminder, and Rob, thank you for coming on and taking your time. I really do appreciate it.
It's been brilliant. Thank you very much.
So just to clarify, Matt, what do I have to go and buy
today?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll find another gentle giant bus for you to purchase. Put it next to that guy. But no, guys, you can find Tony Parminder at a lot of times at the Hyperdrive, the Facebook group. They it's a fantastic group. So if you don't know about it, I don't know who you are. Like you're probably not. You know, you're either just getting into things or whatever. But go check them out. Go check their group out. It's fantastic. And Rob over at RS Prop Masters, fantastic maker of all things helmets, and you know, it's just killer stuff. So go check them out. And you can find CC, Jason, and I here every now and then. So we'll see how often. I'm hoping we can make these chats happen a little more often. We miss doing this, and
that's been great.
It's been great. I missed it, so I really appreciate everyone's time. CC, Jason, anything new? Anything else?
We've missed you, Matt.
Well, I appreciate that. Now that you got your fill of me now, so
yeah, it's been a few days since I've seen CC.
We'll take another couple months, and we'll get back to it. Now, hopefully we'll do some more frequent stuff. So, anyway, thank you guys. CC, you good?
Yep.
Jason, you all right? Anything else?
Nothing for now. I think anything else comes up, we'll post it. I'm sure me and Chris might be jumping on to do something soon as well. So I mean, anything that might be happening, we'll post up in the group and we'll work on there.
Cool. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.